What's up, everybody? Welcome
I
back to the Africa is Next podcast with my co-hosts, BuckMeister and the Chala. I'm Mr. Extraordin. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, share. Look, we have a lot of content. Just see what tickles your fancy. Are you a Dragon Ball fan? Are you a Batman fan? If you like to see some South African artists, you'll just find them somewhere on the channel. But this is South Africa. It's basically Africa is Nice podcast, which basically focuses on anything that tickles our fancy, whether it's comic books, whether it's anime, manga, video
yes.
games, and stuff like that. Anyway, yeah. So today we want to talk about something which could be considered a controversial topic for by others, but for us, it really look, it's something that we take seriously because for the culture, I think it's something that needs to be spoken about more often, especially from South Africans, because we are African and it's about an African character. And it is recasting T'Challa.
Um,
Yeah.
I just want to add to that. Is it really controversial to have an opinion nowadays?
Oh, you don't know.
Hmm. It is. It is.
Oh, you
It
have you
is.
guys been following me on Twitter? Whew.
You already know what my opinion on Twitter is. So do you think I have a Twitter?
I, oh, right, I forget. You are anti-Elon. The assassins are coming.
I didn't. Okay. Well, I didn't say I'm anti-Elon directly.
Yeah,
All I
but
just said is that that app that he bought, he changed it into X for a reason. That's what I said.
Yes, he did. He
well, I
did say
mean,
that.
for me, I'm neither here nor there on Elon because South Africans we have a different context of Elon. I think other people see Elon Musk going to space in Una. We're just like, when is your dad bringing back the diamonds?
The emeralds.
Anyway, that's
And
another
have you
story
seen
for
the
another
pictures of
day.
his mom? She looks like she legit looks like a Mortal Kombat character in one of her poses.
Wow.
We're not here to roast the Musk family. Never mind. We're losing
Okay,
losing
okay, I'll behave.
subscribers. All
I'll
right.
behave. It's not. I'm a guest here, so I'll behave. I'll give my. I'll be as raw and as wild as I am in the other place. Okay, so here
Okay.
I'll try and be PG-13. I remember somebody reminded us like this is not your this is not your home. So PG-13. No vile smut.
We're both guests here. Ish, but I'm bringing fire to the house. All right, so just to catch everybody up, ne? So, was this a lot of people only found out about T'Challa in 2016. My
Right.
introduction to him is 2005, somewhere there. Yeah.
Right.
Mine, I think, was about 2010-ish. No, no, not 10. When was Earth's Mightiest Heroes?
Oh, that's
That
2008.
was
That's 2008.
maybe wasn't it 2009? Because 2008 was the Iron Man film,
No, yeah, the Iron
MCU
Man
film.
film dropped. It was successful, and then they
Yes.
launched. I think it's 2008. I think
Was
it's
was it
supposed
the
to be somewhere
was
there.
it the same year that Iron Man came out?
Because Iron Man changed drastically. Let me just check. I just want to check
Yeah.
this out.
Sure.
Iron Man changed drastically after that movie.
Yes.
True.
But it must have been 2009
Well,
or
not
10.
drastically. Let me say not drastically. Oh, no. You right. You right. It's 2010.
You know why I'm saying that? It makes no sense to have an animated series that shows an improved version of Iron Man before the film comes out or just after the film comes out. That's
Yeah.
way too early for that. So
And
obviously there had to be some buzz around Iron Man.
and it was before Disney decided to open its own channel, and then they took Earth's Mightiest Heroes out, and then they put it at that. They
Mm,
made that appalling remake because I don't care
yeah.
about that animated series in Disney. We'll talk about Disney later.
The character design is better,
No
but
more
the
tangents.
story is
No,
garbage.
I
That's
mean,
today.
I again, like, with Earth's Mightiest Heroes, what I will say is this: I think people didn't read enough Iron Man because I think they
Mm,
think it's a huge departure.
right.
Whereas, as much as Iron Man was stoic in the comics, he does have things where he's quippy and all of that stuff. If you
Yeah.
read him in, like, for example, one of my favorite lines from him is when he was in the Black Panther series where he fights Black Panther. It's in the 90s or
Right.
whatever. So basically, he finds out T'Challa's brother, and I'll get into T'Challa's history, so I'll catch you guys up. But basically, he finds T'Challa's brother because T'Challa's brother tricked him into something, and then T'Challa's brother's like, "Oh man, what took you so long?" And then Iron Man's like, "Oh, I don't know, traffic. I suggest don't move." So he's done stuff like that. He's been quippy. Like a lot of Marvel heroes are quippy. I just think RDJ took that and cranked it to an 11 because Iron Man is more serious pre RDJ, but it's not like he didn't make jokes. Like I think that's one of the things that we have to talk about. I think there's this casual view of comic books, and then there's the people who read them. And like when it comes to Black Panther, there's a lot of misinformation around this character because people are taking a lot of their information from the movies.
Yeah, even Iron Man, even Captain America, even the Avengers, even Thor. Yeah, almost every character that you can think of that's in the MCU is not comic book accurate.
Iron Man and Cap are closer than most.
Closer in their origins, yes.
But also in their depictions. Like Iron Man and Cap in their depictions, I can pull panels where they've been that way.
I can agree sort of with that description, but I was speaking about how in my view, because of the movies, because of the MCU, canon is whatever you want it to be now. They've changed so many things in so many different origin stories. I mean, Spider-Man doesn't have an Aunt May anymore.
Or an Uncle Ben, even.
Uncle Ben is canon. Never existed. No, he is canon. He did exist because there's a clear reference to him. There's a clear reference to him in Far From Home. Not Far From Home. Far From Home, yes. There's a clear reference to him.
When was this? I don't remember this.
So remember when Peter Parker is packing his Spider-Man suit in the suitcase? If you look at the initials are Ben BP or something like that. It's supposed to be a reference to Benjamin Parker.
Oh, but that's just an Easter egg. It's what I meant was like we didn't see an actor portraying him. There was no flashback. There's nothing.
I think the thing is like what they were saying is that everybody's sick of this origin story. We don't need to shoot Ben for a third time to which I feel like they should have done a flashback. I just feel like, but like also that's the thing with the MCU. Like I like it a lot. But they do this thing where they Hollywoodize a lot of stuff and it's not necessary.
Exactly.
Like there's a lot of... Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I
hear what you're saying about the whole Cap and Iron Man thing. I agree as well, but I still think that there's so many things that they could have done that they didn't do for both of those characters. First of all, if we start with Captain America is a whole lot bigger in the comics. Right. If we're to be I'm not saying Chris Evans was not a great choice. I'm just saying, like when you were reading the comics and you're watching Steve Rogers was sort of like like those WWE wrestlers, how they look like.
Some of them, yeah.
And the way he spoke, he sort of spoke like he was way too formal. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like the Cap that you had in your head when you were reading the comics before Chris Evans was introduced. It was this guy who he was just a military guy, if that makes sense.
Captain America was the ultimate soldier, so he portrayed.
Exactly.
I think Evans got that. I think what I think they did is they kind of, in a sense, they modernized him because he was in the modern era. So they were just like, it would feel like it was unrealistic for him to be unaffected by his environment completely. Even though they do the thing of him being out of time in a sense. But like what I'm saying is, I'm not saying they're 100% comic book accurate. They're not, but they're closer than a lot of the other MCU characters. Like Thor is wildly different from who he is. And the problem is that Chris Hemsworth is a good actor and can give you Thor from the comics if the writers just bother to read the source material.
I mean, in the first movie, he was slightly a bit more comic book accurate.
No,
And
even
that
in
was
the
thanks to
second one.
Kevin. That was thanks to Kevin Brunner. Is it Brunner? The
Yeah,
guy who likes doing these Shakespearean films. I think he also did Midnight at the Oriental something. The Oriental Express or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But like when we get to T'Challa, right? One of the things that's very frustrating as a Black Panther fan is that a lot of people did not know about this character. They just didn't. A lot of people didn't read his comic books. A lot of people didn't buy his comic books. And like he's so prolific as a character because in Marvel Comics, in American mainstream comics, he is the first black superhero. The first. In DC, in Marvel, in Image, it's him.
Right.
Every other character that you know that's black in comic books, they come after him because he was such a success at the time.
Right.
Like,
so if we were to get into that, would say this was in the 60s during the civil rights movement.
and apartheid.
Yes, I'm not quite sure if it was before or after the X-Men, probably after.
No, it is after. No. Yeah, he does. He doesn't predate the. He predates some of the X-Men, but he doesn't predate the X-Men creation.
Right.
Sorry, just keep going. I'll be back right now.
Okay. So obviously he was created. It was co-created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby had already worked together on the X-Men. They also worked together on the Fantastic Four at the time. They also did Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
If they've done the
Thor,
Incredible Hulk and Thor, because I remember Thor was designed to be a foil for the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because originally speaking, they were thinking the only thing that could take on the Hulk would be literally be a god. So they had to introduce a godlike character, and they settled on this character called Thor, who's literally the son of Earth and Odin.
Right.
So
yeah. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody in the 60s. I mean, Spider-Man was basically co-created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, so Jack Kirby was not there. But yeah, Captain America had already been introduced in the 40s by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon. But yeah, the other thing that I wanted...
African household, when they call you, they call you.
It's okay. I just wanted to say that I think the Black Panther was also created, I think either slightly before or slightly after the Black Panther Party was created. So
no, it was around the same time. People thought that they took inspiration from the Black Panther Party, but Stan Lee said it was just like a happy coincidence. They actually even said that they were going to change the name to the Black Leopard for a little bit, but then Stan Lee took an editorial decision and said, nah, he's just going to stay the Black Panther.
Yes,
for good reason.
The original costume sucked.
No. The original costume was good, and then they tried to change it to be like a Batman mask, and then they changed it back to be the original costume.
But do you remember how that original costume looked like, bro?
No, I remember. No, it's pretty much the same. Like the design hasn't changed.
Not really. Maybe.
Wait, are you talking about his Fantastic Four debut?
No. I'm talking about before the Fantastic Four. I'm talking about the draft. The Black Panther draft.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jack Kirby went through a few designs before he got
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but the Fantastic Four debut was amazing. Maybe we should get into that.
Okay. So let's think about this. This is the 60s, right?
Yes.
This is the 60s. Racism is at an all-time high, right? Well, now we also going through things and it's bad. Like it's people disappearing to crocodiles bad, right?
Yes.
And then there's also the civil rights movement in America there. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee decide, okay, we've got black readers of our comics. We need to make a character that represents them. So what do? They don't even go local. They come to the African continent. Apparently Jack Kirby, because he's like the main driving force behind Black Panther and everything. Jack Kirby that like apparently took inspiration from something called the Leopard Clan or whatever that was in the Congo. And there was like this guy who would wear this traditional garb thing and he would do this warrior dance and whatever. And it was a big tradition there. I think it's in the Congo. I don't remember the country exactly, but it's called the Leopard Man. So apparently that's where it comes from.
Okay.
So he decides to make this guy a king. He decides to make this guy a king of an uncolonized nation and give them vibranium. All of this is in the origin, right?
Yes.
So on top of doing that, now he's already at this point, they've already done more than enough for this character. They've already made him a king. They already said it's an uncolonized nation. They already said 1, 2, 3. Then he makes T'Challa, the Black Panther, beat up the Fantastic Four.
Yes. And the Fantastic Four were quite prominent at the time. I mean,
No,
they basically
they were more.
They basically revived the superhero genre, because at the time there was sort of like a slump in the superhero genre. Okay, let me just for some background. In the 40s, when Superman came out, some other heroes came out, Batman and the Justice Society of America. So people like Gardner Fox, people like these two guys, Joe Shuster and who's the other guy? Jerry Siegel, working on, and then Bill Finger and all of that. Then Stanlee and them, they were doing like romance comics and westerns and whatever. But then, Stanlee was just tired of it. He actually wanted to quit, but before he quit, his wife said, "Look, if you really want to do something, just do something that you love." Then that's when the Fantastic Four came, right? And the Fantastic Four was actually inspired by the Justice League of America, which also came around the same time, right? But anyway, Hulk came out, Spider-Man came out, this and that came out, and eventually a lot of Marvel characters came out, but it was because of the Fantastic Four that most of these other characters that we know and love today basically were born afterwards. So I just wanted to give that background.
And I just wanted to add, like, we must give props to Marvel itself, because as much as we all say that Marvel just takes what DC does and pushes it out before they do, that competition is what basically kept the comics industry up and going up until today.
Yeah, that's true.
The idea of having an alternative for people to enjoy is the thing that keeps industry alive. Monopoly kills industry. People forget that. That's innovation and progress is killed by monopoly. 100%. Because if it's owned by one person and you're just consuming what he's making, what's the incentive for him to step up, to level up?
I mean, I think it's part of the problem with what the MCU is going through right now. I think that they don't have there's stuff coming out that's fantastic. Like there's Invincible, there's The Boys, but it's not something that's challenging Marvel on a financial level where they have to change their business decision. Like DC, where they are right now, if they don't fumble, like they can turn the tides so quickly. But anyway, just getting back to the topic of the video.
We'll come back to that. Yeah. So I'm busy getting. Look, guys, I'm the guy who didn't do his homework. Né? So I'm the one who's learning from everyone today. So we can relate in class. Everybody in class, there's always that one day you didn't do your homework and you're quiet in the back of the classroom and listen to everyone give their speech, and hoping to God that the teacher won't point to you until like second last in the class, so that you can take everything you've learned.
Right.
No, I mean I'm the guy who knows the most here, so I'll definitely try and fill you guys in.
Yeah, I just know the basics when it comes to that, but I know a lot about Marvel history. And there's just 3 things that I wanted to mention. One, we don't give Jack Kirby enough of flowers, because in as much as we used to like seeing Stanlee in cameos on these films and whatever, Jack Kirby did a lot of stuff.
I think the thing is, you have to understand, between Jack and Stan was just a more social person. I think that's the thing we have to understand. Because there's a lot of beef between Jack Kirby and Stan Lee fans, where it's Stan Lee was just a thief and Jack Kirby was just an artist and what. And it's just the truth is somewhere in the middle, because remember, Stan was an editor. So editors make decisions that people don't like sometimes. That's what they do. Like there's been artists who complain that Stan didn't let them do what they wanted to do artistically. And Stan is like, I have to sell these books. If they don't sell, we don't have a business.
Right.
So I'm doing things that are going to make sure we have a business in 5 years. I know these guys in the Marvel executive room and I know readers. So that's kind of where a lot of head bashing and clashing kind of happened. So then people get old and then people start misremembering and everybody quotes them word for word and verbatim. Stan may have said that he created a character that he didn't. And I'm just like, he's 85. Well, of course, there's going to be times where he misremembers stuff, whatever, and all of that stuff. But all of those guys, it's not Stan Lee alone. Only an idiot would think Stan Lee alone made Marvel. That's not what happened. It's just
But
that
there
he
are
was
idiots who do think that.
Yes, but what I wanted to say though is despite all of that, which is great information, thanks for sharing, is he's not for a reason. They call him Jack the King Kirby for a reason. He has created so many characters like Captain America, even Darkseid. Darkseid is a Jack Kirby creation, Orion, like so many, like I wouldn't even finish. Like Granny Goodness and all those characters, that's him. You know what I'm saying? Thor, obviously it's based on Norse mythology, but the Marvel version of Thor, that's Jack Kirby, That's the first thing. The second thing that I wanted to mention is I think in as much as we're discussing Black Panther right now and we're going to get into this whole recasting T'Challa thing, there's so much about T'Challa that we never got to see in the movies. And it's sad because there's a lot of... Okay, the reason I'm saying this is in the comics, Black Panther was part of the Illuminati, right? Well, I mean, initially he declined and he said that what if I don't agree with your decisions.
No. What he said is that what if all of you find yourself at odds with each other? What happens then? Walk away now. That's basically what he said.
Right. And he's been married to Storm from the X-Men, and then they divorced because of that whole...
No, because of writers.
But I think in the story that was that debate between mutants and heroes, right?
So what happened is that there was Avengers versus X-Men. Terrible event. Terrible. But basically the premise of it is that the Phoenix Force is coming. The Avengers say the Phoenix Force is bad. The X-Men say the Phoenix Force is necessary because they went through an event called House of M where they lost all the mutants. So
because of Silver Witch. I mean, the Scarlet Witch.
Yes. Because of Scarlet Witch, because she had a mental breakdown and she wiped out all mutants or whatever.
Yes.
So Scott Summers, Cyclops wants the Phoenix Force to come and create mutants. The problem is that in the process, it's going to kill a lot of people.
Right.
Because it's the Phoenix Force. The Avengers are like, we have to stop this from coming to Earth because it's going to kill a lot of people. Now it became a debate of whose lives is more important and all of that stuff. And Scott Summers was team mutants. He was like, we need more mutants.
Right.
So what happens is that eventually it comes down to 5 people getting the Phoenix Force. So it was Namor, it was Scott Summers, it was Colossus, was Emma Frost,
Namor.
And wait, I mentioned Namor. Who's the 5th one?
This guy, the big guy, the big tin guy.
No. We mentioned Colossus.
Colossus.
There's one more person that has it. I can't remember now. Anyway, okay, those are the people that we remember.
What did you mention? You mentioned Emma Frost. You mentioned Cyclops.
Emma Frost, Cyclops, Colossus, Namor. I think his sister. Ileana. No, not Polaris. Ileana. No, Polaris is Magneto's other daughter. It's Ileana Rasputin. Magic. Her name is Magic, I think. Yeah. There's 5. Somebody can correct me on the 5th one. The 5th one, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I also forgot who the 5th one is.
But anyway, those 5 have the Phoenix Force. Now, what happens is that the Phoenix Force is trying to find Hope Summers.
Mm.
So Hope is wait, is it Hope Summers? Yeah, I think it's Hope Summers. Anyway, Hope is the person that can handle the Phoenix Force, basically, because her powers is she's like she has a Sharingan, basically. Like she can
Yeah.
copy anybody's powers.
Yeah.
So she has the powers to control the Phoenix Force or whatever. So the Phoenix Force is looking for her. So the
Right.
Avengers are like, we cannot we cannot let her get the Phoenix Force, because last time this happened, Jean Grey happened, and that was a disaster.
Right.
Right.
Planet got vaporized.
Yes. So
Yes.
they're worried, right?
Right.
And I'm not trying to frame this that the X-Men are wrong. This is like, I'm just saying the event as a whole, it sucked. Like a lot of the characters sucked. So what happened is that Namor floods Wakanda looking
Yes.
for the Avengers.
And
Because-
that's something that we were expecting in the second film, by the way. But we'll get there.
We will get
We'll
there.
get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
So Namor floods Wakanda, and it's bad. Lots of people are dying. T'Challa's literally like, I will see Namor dead for this. Like,
Right.
like Captain America is thinking maybe we can negotiate. T'Challa's like, there's no negotiation here.
Negotiating.
He killed my people.
Right.
I'm going to kill him. this is not up for debate. So after that whole thing wraps up, Storm is stuck between choosing Wakanda and choosing the mutants.
Yes.
But before she can even make a choice, apparently, well, actually, she makes a choice, like, in a sense that is inconsistent with her character, in my opinion, because I didn't understand. And she and T'Challa have a fight.
Right.
Then, after that fight, I mean, maybe I'm mixing events here, but after that fight, their marriage gets annulled because everybody in Wakanda is just like, we can't trust these mutants. And
Right.
and it's just like a lot of people go to, and then they say like, and I mean, again, the event is horrible, but people will be like, T'Challa was such a dick to Storm or whatever. Like, why did he just annul their marriage? And I'm just like, he's king of a country. Like, his people
That was just flooded.
yeah, like his
Most of them
people,
are just
like
basically
if his
looking-
people are uncomfortable with
Right.
mutants, he can't
Right.
just. It's not like he can just say that they must just accept what happened. Like, if the council wants to do that, yes, T'Challa at that time has ultimate power, but he still has to be diplomatic because he's running a country. Otherwise, that's how you get rebellions. So
Yeah.
he
There
does.
were going to be possible coups now.
Yeah, so he does the thing that preserves, and it was painful for him. Like, this is something that he brings up constantly, that this was a painful decision for him. He did not want to divorce Storm. He loved her a lot. And Storm fans will want to change things and be like, he was doing this and he had a plan for that and yada, yada, yada. But it's just like, first off and foremost, you have, like, people don't understand T'Challa as a character, right? This is not Batman. Batman is in control of a city. Control of a city.
Right.
T'Challa is king of an entire country. Like, entire nation.
The only closest comparison I can get to T'Challa is like, T'Challa is a good version of Dr. Doom.
So what I'm saying is that when he's making decisions, he has to separate how he feels and what's practical for the country. So we're going to get into some storylines where I'll show you guys exactly what that means and everything, and how he masterfully manages to work it around such that all of the stuff can fall into his favor. But, like, that's the thing with Avengers versus X-Men, is that...
Yeah.
So I understand. I get the gist of he made a good thing. He made a good thing out of a bad situation, because that from what you're telling me, that everything sucked.
It was such terrible writing. It was horrible.
Really? Do you think it was terrible writing?
Yes, because Storm is inconsistent. Like, what people need to understand about Storm, right? When Xavier finds her, what Storm was doing is she was helping local villagers with their crops. Storm has never been a person where she's just about mutants and mutants alone. That's not something that's part of her character.
Literally,
if someone
worshipped as a goddess in Africa, and it's like
yes, but she didn't do that.
This was Uncanny X-Men, I think. When it was written by, who's this guy? Was it?
Not Claremont. I think
No, it was before Claremont. I think Lin Wing was involved as an artist, and who's this guy again?
I know who
Sorry.
you're talking about, but I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, the point is that she was doing that stuff because it was in her nature. Because we get back into her backstory and like she like when she was a thief and everything and all of that stuff. So a lot of the poverty that she went through shaped her as a person to say that when anybody is suffering and I can do something, that's what I'm going to do. And by consequence, that's when she became worshipped as a goddess. And yeah, she enjoyed it because, you know, Storm, like people enjoy adulation, but she didn't do it because people were worshiping her.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I think she was created to be sort of like Marvel's version of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely, because
But
she's
I think
actually supposed to be the most storied. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I think but her being in the X-Men sort of limited
Oh,
that
big time.
potential.
Big time.
Yeah.
It limited her potential, and then you also see as time goes on, it became more of her identity was sort of became synonymous with the X-Men. I think what hurt Storm's story the most is that she never actually had her own separate comic series.
Yes.
No, and it's so like the other thing is it's frustrating with Marvel, and I'm bringing this back to T'Challa, but it's frustrating with Marvel because she's had 3, I think, miniseries, 3 or 4 miniseries, Storm, where it's her and she's the protagonist, and you getting into her story. Right. Did they market one of them?
Of course not. Why would they?
Why?
Why would they?
And that's what I'm saying. When like this T'Challa thing, it's been prevalent. Like black characters in Western media, especially in the comic book arena, have never been treated well. It's just like T'Challa is like he's the exception of the exception. If people actually think about it, there is not one black character you can think of that has 200 comics dedicated to their name. Can you find me one?
Don't worry, I'll wait.
And I know people want to say, well, there's John Stewart in Green Lantern. He was not the original Green Lantern. Green Lantern doesn't belong to John Stewart. Like John Stewart has to share that. Like for 60 years in comic books, T'Challa was the main character.
Right.
And he still didn't get the push that he was supposed to get because people go like, well, and it's just like, no, Marvel at some stage was failing. They still made Iron Man comics.
They nearly went bankrupt in the 90s.
Yes, and in that time.
I hate to sound like the pragmatically evil supervillain that Marvel these Marvel executives are. It's just a matter of population dynamics. They think, okay, not enough. There's a certain number of African Americans in this country who consume comics, and they erroneously think, okay, of this demographic, they're not known for reading, so why should we invest so much on resources on a group that won't give us quote unquote enough returns, not having the foresight to think on a global scale. I mean, worldwide, if you think about it, worldwide, black people, a black character has been the thing that actually saved Marvel, especially in the film industry. And I'm talking about Blade. If it wasn't for Blade, we wouldn't have the MCU.
Speaking of which, where is his movie? Goddammit, Marvel, stop playing, yo. Anyway, sorry.
I think it's the strike. I think that could be.
No, it's not the strike. This movie was announced in 2019. You know what else was announced in 2019? Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I Am Groot, the TV series, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Miss Marvel. What happened? What was happening?
And funny enough, even Armor Wars, we're still waiting for Armor Wars. Is this coming out?
Do people not see what is happening here? Do we not see what's going on here? So anyway, I don't want to take it too much to the race because somebody's going to twist it and try to do something.
the third thing that I just wanted to mention is, contrary to popular belief, well, in the latest, in this current years, Fantastic Four actually introduced a whole lot of characters that we know and love today. If it wasn't for Fantastic Four, we wouldn't have known Silver Surfer, Galactus. We wouldn't have known
Freaking Namor.
the Skrulls,
Mm.
right? No, Namor was before. It was before the Fantastic Four, because Namor was created in the, I think, 40s or 50s.
Yeah, but he gets
Oh.
revitalized in the Fantastic
In Fantastic Four. Yes, you're right.
Like he's a serious threat, and then for some reason he has a thing for Susan Storm. Anyway,
It still
Sue
doesn't make
fine.
sense.
Sue is fine.
Yeah, but
I get it.
it still doesn't make sense though.
but I'm just saying Sue is spoken for. And now this guy.
Do you think niggas care?
You know who would have made sense actually to be with Namor?
Who?
Storm.
No.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Well, technically they're both mutants. So.
No.
Yes. You know why I'm saying Storm?
Yeah.
Think about it, bro. Okay,
I'm thinking about it.
Think about it for once. You know why? One has power on land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, by that I mean they could do a lot of damage on land. Like, and one obviously in the sea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, should they team up against anybody, there would have been a serious threat as a couple, if you think about it.
Yeah, I also know Namor.
This is exactly your reaction, Buck, is how I felt when people were busy trying to push their Wonder Woman and Superman thing. I was like, ew, no.
No, Wonder Woman and Superman doesn't make sense to me. But I think Namor
if you look at Namor and who he is, and not just Namor, I'm sorry, that's kind of forever thing. If you look at Namor and who he is, that dude doesn't have patience. That dude doesn't tolerate when people don't listen to him.
Yeah, look.
Storm would be there for. No, I'm saying Storm would be there. No, like you gotta understand. Namor is a guy when people piss him off, his response is to throw tidal waves at them in response.
No. If you're putting it like that, then I was just talking like
a power couple. Yes.
Yes, a power couple. But if you're talking about it from an attitude perspective, you're absolutely right. I don't think Namor can be with anybody.
And that's the same angle I was coming at. You're talking at a power couple.
Yes.
If you look at the DC Wonder Woman and Superman, that'd be the ultimate power couple.
Right.
Yes, it does look nice on paper, but if you look at their characters, ew.
Yeah.
Is the first thing that comes. It's like
no. Superman would not even last a day with Wonder Woman. It won't. Clock.
Superman
and then
no. compared to Diana, Superman is a pacifist.
Exactly.
I still think that makes more sense than Namor and Storm, but anyway.
And then they went even further in the Justice League animated series with this whole Diana and Batman. I almost threw up.
Yeah, I like that.
That one I'm not really opposed to that much, but in almost every animated film where you see Diana being infatuated with Superman, it's as if they're nerfing Diana.
Yes.
And some of Superman's rationale in some of those movies, whether it's Red Son or Injustice, you're like, why would Diana agree to some of the things that this?
No, I mean, like, there's the best of it, I guess, was that new 52 JL reboot movie thing where they kind of first time meet, and I guess that kind of makes sense, even though they changed Superman a lot because people have been complaining about Superman's attitude, which that's not the problem with Superman. The problem with Superman is his powers. But anyway, getting back to what's happening with this T'Challa thing, right? And so, like, that's the thing. I think a lot of people just don't know about how historically significant this character is. If we think about it, right, Batman changed the game because he's the first non-powered superhero, right?
Yes.
Superman changed the game because he's the first superpowered superhero, right? Wonder Woman changed
technically, Batman was not the first non-powered superhero. We already had the Phantom. We already had the
Yeah,
Shadow.
I'm talking mainstream.
But
I'm talking mainstream.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Shadow and them weren't mainstream. And Shadow apparently did, according to the movie, apparently he did have a power of some kind
Oh, is it?
or something. Like he couldn't feel pain, or like they couldn't hurt him or something. Like you could
Okay.
kill him, but you couldn't hurt him, I think.
Yeah. So
Okay, I guess we could say the Phantom then. But I do get what you're saying, though. I
Yeah.
get your point. Yeah.
before you continue, I just wanted to add my 2 cents on my experience of T'Challa because, like I said,
Mm.
I got a sample from like Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Earth's Mightiest Heroes for me is like the GOAT when it comes to the representation of the Avengers, and what I liked about T'Challa. Well, I knew there was a Black Panther before. The character Black Panther never surprised me, but
Right.
his portrayal there, he is the voice of logic in so many cases where when there's a conflict between Iron Man and Thor about how irresponsible Iron Man is with his technology compared to Thor's magic and stuff. It was T'Challa who said, "Guys, work together." It was, and even in his introduction, he kicked the Avengers' ass, and then he said, "I've seen enough."
Yeah. Is he not the smartest Avenger in that
It
film?
depends. He's Iron Man and Captain America put together, because
Yeah,
Yes.
Iron Man is like a phenomenal engineer and everything.
Right.
And I mean, T'Challa's also a phenomenal engineer. He's like people say he's number 9 or number 8, the smartest man in the world. But like when I look at Marvel as a whole, I put him at like 4. I
Who
put him
would
at like,
be who would be the first three in
so
your
I'll Reed Richards definitely. Then I would put.
Wait, are we mentioning just heroes or Marvel characters overall?
I'm
Because
talking
Doctor
heroes
Doom is
specifically. I'm
no
okay.
heroes
talking no, I
specifically.
mean no, actually no. Let's talk characters. Actually, not heroes. I'm talking characters. So I would put Richards. Then I would do Doom.
Yeah,
Then I would do who would be number 3? Who would be number 3? Not Banner. I think T'Challa's smarter than Banner.
Yeah, I think so too.
Iron Man.
Um,
I
But I
would
think
put.
I no.
I
I
don't think
think
Tony. I don't think
I would
Tony's
put.
smarter
Then
than.
I'd say number
I don't
3.
think it's. I
Sorry.
don't
Then
think
I'd say
Tony's
number
smarter
3.
than. Yeah, I
Then
don't
I would
think
say
Tony's
number 3.
smarter than. Look, there are characters like Amadeus Cho and there's Riri Williams
Yeah. No.
and that
Yes.
that kid with the
You,
dinosaur
you know,
and
Yeah.
the one thing I've got to appreciate about the Marvel universe as a whole is that so many of those characters are incredibly smart.
Mm.
yes, the
We
Doctor
we have
Octopus is one of them.
we have a glut of people with MDs.
Yep,
No, a lot of supervillains have doctorates, and I'm like, how do you guys get this?
a lot of Spider-Man
Like,
villains
where
too.
did Doctor
But
Doom get his doctorate from?
but then you find characters who take who have basically have an elemental knowledge of this stuff and manage to take on these geniuses. And I'm looking at you, Spider-Man. Spider-Man is incredibly smart.
He
Yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I like people to not to rile up people, but you know that people keep on going like, "Oh, with enough prep time, Bruce can beat anyone." Have you seen what Spider-Man does with prep time?
Yeah.
Have you seen what he does? Oh, he
But,
meets a guy who's literally made out of water and can manipulate water to kick his ass. Okay, he goes home. He comes up with a solution that can actually trap this waterman inside.
yes. And he's
That's
just a
smart.
kid without
And he's
without
just a
resources.
kid.
He doesn't have resources. Imagine if he had
He doesn't
But
have
resources.
he's
resources.
got Spider-Man powers. Let's not act like he doesn't have the Spider-Man powers. Those things
But
are a great
does he have the
equalizer.
Spider-Man? Does he have the budget? Does he have the same budget as Iron Man? He goes to his high school or his university laboratory
Yes.
and then
Yes.
makes something that can stop this supervillain.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I mean, I love
So,
Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. But getting back to
so
T'Challa, then I guess he
yeah,
would be number 3 for me. I guess I would put him above, because the thing is, people need to remember, ne? It's not that
yeah.
he's also just a polymath and he knows science and all of that stuff. He's also a strategical genius.
Yes.
He's a tactical genius. Yes, that
Yes,
And
is
I
true.
he's
think one of the reasons that I have, one of the issues that I have with the films is because they were introducing Shuri and they wanted Shuri to stand out, they made it seem like T'Challa is not smarter than Shuri, which I was like,
And the thing is, a lot of Black Panther fans were very upset because the way they depicted Shuri in the movies, Shuri in the comics is a warrior. Like she's like it's not
Yes.
that she's dumb. That's not the thing, but she's more traditional than T'Challa is.
They went the opposite direction
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the sense because I watched those first two episodes. I saw a little bit of Shuri's behavior and
Oh,
how
the one where what's this guy? Jimon Hanso is Black Panther, and
Yes.
I
yeah.
think it is
I
Kerry
love
Kerry
that.
Washington is Shuri, right?
Yeah, I
Because
love
Shuri
that
wanted to
series.
be the Black Panther, but I think it's because she's a woman or something. She was
No,
just
no,
a.
no. So Wakanda doesn't do that. Wakanda, if you can fight, you can be the Black
Yeah,
Panther.
equal opportunity
But in that because
is for everyone. That's what I
I
know.
saw that series I think like 4 years ago. She wanted to be the Black Panther in that first episode, but T'Challa was fighting his uncle.
No, so what
Right?
happened is that Scion fights a giant dude, knocks him out, and he lands on Shuri. And then before Shuri can get up, T'Challa gets over her and the other guy and fights Scion before Shuri gets a
Oh,
chance.
okay.
Like you have to understand, in like the thing is because also it was indicative of something where I was like these people did study a lot of African culture. Is that like it's not patriarchal. Like old school African culture was never patriarchal.
Yes, that's
Like what
true.
happened is that there was a lot of warrior queens and even the kings where they had multiple wives, those wives were the council. Like
Yeah.
Right.
when people had to go to war, the wives were the ones that made sure the kingdom was still standing. They ran
Right.
everything. I mean, you get to see even snippets of that in this Shaka
The
Zulu
Woman King,
11
no?
thing.
Yeah,
Oh, the
Yeah,
it's
thing.
even to piss up them hope tabs. Even in Egypt, women had a lot of political influence. The
like this
historian,
like this thing of misogyny, it's not African in any
yeah,
context.
yeah. I just wanted to add that the whole reason why there was a war between the Hittites and the Egyptians was because an Egyptian queen was saying, I don't want to marry one of the nobles. Send me one of your princes so that then I can marry into royalty." If
Right.
that Hittite prince came to Egypt, Egypt would have to acknowledge that person as the pharaoh. That's how it used to work.
Oh,
And that's why they sent someone to assassinate the Hittite prince, and that's how the war began. That's part of the Egyptian history. So the idea that it's always been about the pharaoh and he was the center of all authority. Sure, he was a representation of that god, but the queens there were also quite influential. So take that with a grain of salt, children. Anyway, moving on.
So what I'm saying is that Wakanda has never had that issue
Yeah.
in any depiction ever. Because you have to also remember, Shuri is a 2005 creation.
yes.
T'Challa dates back to the 60s. So for 30 years he had been existing, and there's plenty of female characters that are formidable in his original runs.
Yeah.
So
Right.
getting back to what's happening with Shuri, like like the thing is, they were trying to show what makes T'Challa look soft in terms of Wakandan culture, because the interesting thing about this character is that he is the softest of the Black Panthers. He just
Exactly.
is. Like, and not soft in terms of weakness or whatever. What other Black Panthers were willing to do, T'Challa was not.
Right.
Like, that's something that Chadwick
I
captured
mean,
perfectly, in my
I,
opinion.
I like that scene where the I'm talking about the BET show again, where that one guy was like, "Hi, you noticed that one guy was the only one shooting,
No, that's not
so we
that's
are shooting. Can you go back home?"
that's
And
that's and they dropped that K word really hard in that series. I was like, oof.
uh,
Also, I think Stanley does he does voice acting. I think he's in the White House, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
so and then I was just like, looking at the Black Panther, just staring at them, and then he said nothing, and I'm thinking, yeah, wait until they fade to black. He must probably kill them all.
Guys, are you keen on us actually reviewing that series? Because I haven't watched it
Oh
in a long time.
yes, yes,
Oh
It,
yeah, I'm
please.
down. I'm down because there's so many
okay.
things I enjoyed. I mean, there's so many things I enjoyed I'm also taking into account the time period of which it came out and how it
Mm,
matches with
mm.
the other productions, because if I'm not mistaken, it came out at the same time where Spider-Man ended up going to that weird Counter Earth. It came out
no,
that time.
no,
You see a lot of
that came out in the early 2000s. That's Spider-Man Unlimited you're talking about, right? Because it was competing with Batman Beyond. And then, but the one you're talking about, I think it was the Marvel Knights era, right? The Black Panther.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
but
it was Marvel Knights. It was on Marvel Knights.
I see a lot of influence in terms of the darkness involved. And I also enjoyed that this one wasn't playing around. I mean, I saw decapitated heads. I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, T'Challa, speaking, I just wanted to add on what Buck was saying. In as much as he's soft, T'Challa was still willing to kill. Like, he's still willing to kill.
It's not a problem. Like, when I say he was not willing to do certain things that other Black Panthers are willing to do, there's a particular storyline that Marvel is butchering right now in the MCU that they should not, because it's an amazing story. But anyway, getting back to that, I'm just saying, T'Challa, in a sense, he is the softest. Like, that's the thing that makes it so difficult for him and other Wakandans as well, because he's not a person who likes to put his foot down. He'll do it, but it's not his first inclination, because even in the 1990s, when he had this particular comic, he was taking in refugees from other countries that were running away from war-torn areas. And he was basically trying to make Wakandans and these refugees get along. Now, the refugees didn't like the Wakandans. The Wakandans didn't like the refugees. They both didn't like T'Challa, because he was trying to create a situation where everyone can get along. Like, and other people were saying, like, this is something other kings would never have done. Because T'Challa's father in the comics, even though he adopted a white kid that became Hunter, right?
The White Wolf, right?
Yes, the White Wolf.
The original White Wolf, not Bucky.
Yeah, I was about to say he shall not be named. What the hell? What the hell? Because I was like, why? Why? Do you know what Bucky does in the? I mean, sure, I've only had I only knew him from, like I said, it's Mightiest Heroes and stuff. But Bucky is his own character with his own nuances and his own development. Why is squeezing him into another character?
Bucky is basically Robin. God. Like Robin. Like if you were to watch Captain America: The First Avenger, which is something that I was saying in with this whole comic book adaptation thing, Bucky should have been younger than Steve, first of all, and he was like a Robin type of character. Right?
They were not going to do that. They were not going to put a kid in the middle of World War.
Just like in Iron Man, how they avoided making Jarvis a human being because he was going to be Alfred. He looks exactly like Alfred in the comics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But,
yeah.
I get you.
Yeah. But
anyway. I'll go into details about the different characterization of T'Challa, but I wanted to explain that what T'Challa as a character makes me feel. And that's what I think that's why I stand with the idea of having to recast T'Challa, is because he is an African badass in a world of badasses. In a world where, look, no matter how things go, how crazy the world goes, nobody wants to piss off Wakanda.
Right.
And I mean, we're talking about characters that can create world-ending devices at a whim, and everybody takes a pause to second guess when it comes to Wakanda. And when you live in a world where the color of your skin determines whether you're going to be taken seriously or not, whether people will give you the time of day, whether people will afford you the same resources, the same privileges as others. We have a world where the greatest kingdom in the planet is from Africa, with a character that has resources that can span galaxies, and it makes me feel somewhat validated. And now, what Marvel has done, and props to Shuri. I'm not gonna start bashing on Shuri to explain my point. It's just that Marvel, the MCU, this tragic thing happened, and then they're just gonna go with what they think is right, at the expense of trying to flesh out a character that is so badass that we never got to experience and enjoy. I don't mind. I don't
Exactly.
mind Shuri's rise as Black Panther in these movies and stuff,
That's
whatever like
fine.
that. But just
Right.
give us the chance to know the real
Yes.
T'Challa.
Yes.
Why didn't we give that? Why didn't we get that opportunity? Oh, something like that.
I mean,
Here's
look
the
at what
other thing
happened
that people need to.
in
Oh,
Harry
sorry.
Potter.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Look at what happened in Harry Potter. Is it Richard? Sir, I think it was Richard
Richard
something.
Harris. Richard
Yeah,
Richard
Harris.
Richard Harris.
Harris. Unfortunately, he passed away after Chamber of
Yes.
Secrets, right?
Yes.
So by the time we got Goblet of Fire, we got Michael Gambon or Gambon or something, right? And he was a completely different Dumbledore. But we
Fun
accepted. We
fact.
accepted it. We accepted it.
Fun fact. They actually wanted to offer the role to Gandalf.
Yeah, I think that would have messed up a lot of things because already we were thinking that he looked. We were thinking he was Gandalf anyway. But
No,
yeah,
Ian McKellen refused for the role because, as it said, Richard Harris didn't really consider. We didn't consider Ian McKellen a good actor.
wow.
So he said, out of respect for the
What?
fact that he really didn't care about he really didn't think that highly of my performance. So he said, no, let me not take it. I'll respect the character.
Wow.
I respect the actor. So yeah, there's evidence. I'll
Guys,
get the receipts. But
we
that's
need to
exactly
do.
what Ian said.
We need to cover the Harry Potter films, please. It's something that I also wanted
Yeah,
to talk to you
I'm not
about.
I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but if we're gonna cover them, I'll trudge through it.
I
Like,
will. The only time I will do it is if I figure out how to dress in drag because trans rights matter.
ah.
Right.
Yes.
Anyway,
I,
getting back to T'Challa though, like here's something that people need to understand. In Black Panther comics, there's literally a time where there's two Panthers.
yeah.
It is Shuri and T'Challa. They
Right.
literally lead a war effort against Thanos and his Dark Order.
Okay.
So
Listen to that.
why do we have to do this thing? Like, why do we have to act like to have Shuri we must sacrifice T'Challa? They don't. White characters don't do that.
Green Lanterns, we have so many,
No.
like six,
In the
three
MCU,
flashes.
in the MCU, we don't have to go far. In the MCU, did they kill Clint Barton to have Kate Bishop?
No.
Did they in Thor: Love and Thunder? We seem to have two Thors, no
Jane.
problem.
Yeah. And look at what you call it.
Three Spider-Man now.
Yeah, I mean
five.
Spider-Man.
She-Hulk. I don't remember them killing Bruce Banner so She-Hulk could have a TV show.
Right.
Wait, hold up. Let's think about it. We've got She-Hulk. We've got Hulk. We've got Red Hulk. We've got Hulk Ling. We've got
Yes. We got Amadeus Cho, who's Hulk, but an Asian Hulk.
look
We have So
look at it. My argument, and I think what I want to address is that people were thinking we're going to be we are being misogynistic and stuff like that. I'm not. I want to just go on record as saying we can have two Black Panthers. We can have two different characters with the same space. For a character that recently came, I mean, I enjoyed Shuri's character development in the first movie. The second movie, like I said, it seemed like she had to possess the power of angry black woman for some reason. I don't know why they had to go with that angle. But in the first movie, I saw a woman who, so it was she loved the technology more than the cultural aspects. But then in the end, she realizes she needs to just suit up and fight alongside with her brother to get this crazy person off the throne.
I mean, like again, for Black Panther purist fans, her depiction in Black Panther 1, it's an issue for a lot of them. I'm one of the purists that was like, it's okay. Let's just it's like it's Hollywood shorthand, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like I do understand why Ryan Coogler made that decision, even though he would have had a better product had he stuck to the material, in my opinion.
How many products would be a lot better if they just stuck to the material?
No, but I'm saying like Black Panther specifically, like one of the advantages of him not being adapted so many times over the years means that you had enough stuff that you could have cut the fat and kept it tight.
Right.
But the thing is, what I'm saying is that the whole two Black Panther situation, it is not new. It is not something, it's in the source material if you want to go that route. And then for all of you Shuri fans, what happens is that Shuri dies, not T'Challa. Stop it with this thing that T'Challa died in the comics. It never happened. Shuri dies in the comics, and then T'Challa goes to the afterlife to rescue her. And when she comes back as the griot. Now, the griot in the MCU, they trying to make it the AI. The AI in the comic books is Kimoyo. Like the Kimoyo beads, Kimoyo is the entire system. It's not just the beads. So she comes back as the griot, where she gets mystical powers, where she can raise dead armies. She can turn into butterflies. Like, she's basically a super-powered Sangoma that knows the history of Wakanda. And that doesn't happen if T'Challa's not there. Like, it was such a great, fantastical progression for this character, because Shuri, in her inception, is hard-headed and she wants things fast. When she learns how to be queen, when she learns all of that stuff, and then she dies, she comes back, and she's this person who is wise and patient because of her experiences. It is a fantastic character arc that they ran into the ground when they MCU-ified her.
Okay. Before we go on, I just wanna just recap a bit, right? So the potential storylines that we could have had is T'Challa and Storm getting married, T'Challa and Namor fighting, which is obviously, I mean, even Ryan Coogler also mentioned that could have happened, and the flooding and whatever. We got bits and pieces of that in that movie, that's okay, but it was not depicted the way that we could have anticipated.
Just to add on that quickly before you go on, Namor and T'Challa have a long history. Like, they've almost gone to war several times, but there's a time in the comic books where they're actually like sort of either respected rivals or friends, almost. And that was something that could have also been. But anyway,
it's like you're saying that Namor has no patience. Namor's solution to every diplomatic situation is we're at war.
Yes.
But the thing is, T'Challa is so good at diplomacy. He knew how to mitigate that. He knew how to give Namor what he wanted without going to war as a result. That's how shrewd and intelligent of a character T'Challa is. But anyway, sorry, Mr. Extrudin, you were going?
It's okay. Yes. The other thing that we mentioned is there are certain things that the past Black Panthers were doing that he was not willing to do. He was also trying to get, which is kind of like a Captain Kirk thing, where he's trying to get people from different cultures or different countries to get along, and these people don't want to get along, which is something that could have been also been utilized in the films. Also, having two Black Panthers at the same time, and us realizing that Black Panther actually helped his sister, brought his sister back to life, and she became another character. So these are like 5 potential storylines that we could have had should T'Challa been recast.
And let's not forget the one where M'Baku is actually a villain.
And despite even Killmonger, I think we need to get into those characters as well.
There's Killmonger,
and the best friend also, because the best friend is like second in command when T'Challa's not around, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yes, Wakabi. The thing is, T'Challa had 2 best friends. He had 2 childhood best friends, basically. They retconned to add more, but basically the 2 main people, it's Taku, who's a gay dude who marries a guy called Horatio Walters, who came in on when Killmonger invaded Wakanda in the comics in the first time. Mm-hmm. So basically, they start a relationship, those 2 characters, because Taku manages to see that there's something in Horatio that doesn't like violence. So they have this genuine conversation where they break it down and all of that stuff, and eventually they actually get married and they live in Wakanda and everything. It was really heartwarming to see. If you want to see more of them, sorry.
Gay rights.
Yeah. Hey, Uganda, stop tripping. Anyway.
You said it, I didn't.
Uh-oh.
Okay, anyway, but I'm saying those two characters, right? Like Taku is one of T'Challa's childhood friends because Wakanda's never had an issue with that anyway.
Right.
Like that's never like, and this is in the 70s, by the way. These characters are established in the 70s.
Yes.
Right.
His second best friend and second in command and regent when he's not there is Wakabi. That's why a lot of Black Panther purist fans were mad that Wakabi is the guy that joins the villains
No.
and helps the villains. And it's just like what happened is they saw M'Baku, they saw that his name was Man Ape, and they were like, we cannot call this big black man Ape. Which I'm just saying, I don't understand why they had to sacrifice Wakabi to make that happen. Because the other thing the other thing that's an issue in the MCU is that they started giving everyone else T'Challa storylines.
Yeah.
Like Nakia's whole "we must open Wakanda." T'Challa, like that's another thing that I don't like about the MCU. T'Challa's never been indecisive. Like they show it pretty well in Civil War, where he's making decisions. But you get to Black Panther 1, and he's taking suggestions from everybody. Now, again, he's not above taking suggestions. But this whole idea of opening Wakanda, which is something that his ancestors would not do, is something he does in his first week as king. He literally goes to the UN, invites the UN to Wakanda, has them in a meeting, and then says that you guys need to petition to make sure that we're part of the United Nations by the end of the week.
Right.
And in this, apparently somebody tries to send an assassin to try and kill T'Challa in his first week as king. And he's just like, if you don't let Wakanda be part of the UN soon, I am going to tell the world that you sent an assassin to kill me.
So basically that whole UN scene from Queen Ramonda.
He did it first in the books.
Also, there's a deleted scene in Civil War, right?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Where basically, like, you can see that Natasha was trying to interrogate him or trying to get information. And it's like, I have already seen through your tactics. Like, is this how you normally get people to give you information?
I love that.
And I'm like, why did you delete this perfect scene? Like,
You know?
this is one of the best scenes ever. I think he was so OP. He was so OP in Civil War that they didn't want the attention to go so much to Black Panther that we forget that it's Steve's story. I mean, there's no other reasoning, bro.
I love that scene. You're not used to the truth.
So it's the no. I mean, look at how many other characters they also make. How many characters steal the spotlight in other movies. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is how OP Vision was in that horrible Avengers movie.
I like Avengers Age of Ultron.
Vision was nerfed. Vision was nerfed after that.
And then suddenly he's nothing.
It's nothing. It's like, we don't
you want to see somebody steal a movie. Look at Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. She took that movie like she was a bully.
I think she was just proving a point when she was talking to Steve and saying, just because it's, from your perspective, you're the hero and I'm the villain, I'm going to hijack this whole thing.
No.
Which she was clearly the villain in that movie. I love that meme where she's like, all this for a child you met yesterday. And then in the meme, they're like, all this for 2 kids you never had.
But still, Marvel's movie, the MCU is rushing the new Avengers. Am I the only one who feels this way?
No, the thing is, like, this is why killing T'Challa is so foolish. Like, another character that T'Challa had an amazing confrontation with in the comics, and again, you can go read this online. It's Black Panther 1990s Christopher Priest. Everybody needs to go read that. Actually, read everything. Read Jungle Action. Read all of it because it's all good. But anyway, except for, and I hate saying this guy's name, John Ridley, do not read his run. Do not read those comic books.
Why?
John Ridley. Don't read them. because he basically went in there like he's trying to do MCUification and he's nerfing T'Challa and he's retconning history.
He antied everything. Suddenly
Yo.
Wakanda was racist. Suddenly Wakanda had a coup and kicked T'Challa out and became quote unquote a democracy. Suddenly,
and I think this is why having a lot of writers in a specific IP, it becomes a problem because some writers deliberately just want to undo everything. Deliberately.
Yeah.
No, the problem is that when you get people who don't care about the character, it won't matter.
Yeah.
Like the thing is with Marvel, they have a notorious thing of getting people who love the character and then they get somebody who hates the character for no reason and does whatever they can. Spider-Man is prime example of this. They'll get somebody who writes a great story for Spider-Man, and then for the next 4 volumes, Spider-Man will be broke again. He'll be divorced again. He
makes a deal with the devil.
Yeah. Like Joe Quesada did that because he was like, we can't have Spider-Man age. It cannot happen. If he's married, it will be like he's older. Now I'm thinking about my own mortality. No, Spider-Man must be young, swing, and happening.
And I lost my train of thought. I wanted to add to your point
about writers coming.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget. I mean, who suddenly decided to make Captain America part of Hydra?
Oh my goodness, Hell Hydra thing.
Do you see?
when you're trying to sell comics, you'll do whatever it takes, I guess.
No, but like this is the thing. Marvel, they do this, and I mean, I think a lot of IPs do this. Star Wars is doing this.
Even
they want to move the needle a little bit forward, and then they want to move it right back.
Yeah.
And the problem is that it's okay to spin your wheels sometimes. That's not the issue. It's the way you spin them that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like it's the way people are trying to, like, they will try to break the, like, I don't understand how many deconstructions T'Challa has had in the last 8 years.
And how many times they're trying to modernize Magneto, because now they're trying to, or they're actively trying to modernize him because they can't have him be a Holocaust survivor. Because each decade that passes, it means Magneto is getting older and older and older, and his biases are becoming less and less relevant to the coming generation. But
doesn't mean it didn't happen, though.
It doesn't mean it didn't happen, and it always falls to my biggest argument from all comics, Western comics consumption ever, is that you are too afraid to put those 2 words, the end. Those 2 words are living poison to them, because it's at some point it stops being a story, it starts being a product to push merchandise. And
no, but like the other thing is, right, with Western comics, we understand that. I get that. That's not the issue for me. Fine, don't end it. But don't ruin everything that came before. Don't just torpedo everything to try and reset and start over. Like, it's part of the issue with Dragon Ball Super, right? Dragon Ball Z is not a hard thing to write. Dragon Ball Super is not a hard thing to write. But Akira Toriyama and crew basically reset Goku so that he can learn the same lessons that he learned in Z. Over and over.
The whole Broly thing, even people are complaining about it. Like, Vegeta was meditating, and Goku was like, "Why are you meditating? What kind of a training is that?" We're like, "In Z, this is what you were doing."
This is how you got Super Saiyan 3.
Exactly. He was meditating in the mountains for 3 weeks.
No, that's how he masters Super Saiyan. Like, that's how he gets the idea to master Super Saiyan, is he's meditating in the hyperbolic time chamber. Gohan is confused. Goku says, this form is strong, but I don't have any speed in it or whatever. Like,
that was Super Saiyan 2. Super Saiyan 3 is when he was dead.
Yes.
No, but I'm saying he meditates in the Cell Saga as well. Like,
yeah,
this is something that he meditates in Dragon Ball. What do we? Okay, anyway, that's another thing for another day.
Please, somebody reminded me about the whole kissing thing. It's like, really, dude? Really?
2 kids. Someone was trying to even tell me. Somebody was trying to even tell me that Goku is asexual, and I'm like, he has too many kids to be. No, He has too many kids.
No. Are you telling me that Chichi assaulted him? That's what you're telling me.
Yeah,
I'm
apparently.
beginning to think that super doesn't exist. Like,
Yeah.
for my sanity, I think we are
You know,
imagining this series
if there's
doesn't
one thing,
exist.
if there's one thing Pila has told me is that at some point you just need to think that this is all fan fiction, and you just need to stop it. Like there was no season 7, there was no season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones. There was
Also, like even with these comics, have you noticed that even hardcore stands consider certain storylines to be canon and others not to be canon?
Oh
yeah,
yeah. No,
yeah.
you see this Ridley thing I'm telling you about?
It's not
Every
canon,
Black
man.
Panther fan has decided it doesn't exist. Every Black Panther fan is just like, that was a nightmare. That
Yeah.
was a experience.
It's the same as the brown coat Robin. No,
Don't when they were calling him Drake. Yar.
nobody
Hi.
we don't talk.
DC, what the hell? Anyway.
You know what the problem is? I think the problem is the people who what did you call it? The turning the needle or pushing the needle?
Forward, yeah.
The ones that did it, like who's this guy? Frank Miller. When he did what's this?
Dark Knight Returns.
Yes, the Dark Knight Returns, but the other one, Batman Year One and Dark Knight Returns. He pushed it, but it worked, right? When people like Marv Wolfman, they did the Crisis on Infinite Earths and whatever, they worked.
Yes.
So everybody is trying to outdo those things.
No,
And
I
as a
don't
result-
even think that.
That-
I don't even think that.
that-
I think what happens is that writers go in there to beef up their resume to say, I wrote this and
Yeah.
what. And then they don't do their research on the characters, because the thing is, when Frank Miller did what he did, he knew what Batman was about.
Right.
When Marv Wolfman did what he did, he knew what the DC landscape was about.
Right.
A lot of writers, when they were writing on Black Panther, they knew what Black Panther was about. Sometimes there's little inconsistencies here and there that you can let go, but they knew what that character is. Then other people came in and they had some form of agenda that is, and the thing that I don't like in comic book writing is, I feel like it's okay to have an agenda, not at the expense of a character. Like, you cannot bring an agenda at the expense of the character. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't serve the character. It doesn't serve the audience. And it's a little bit arrogant because you're trying to change something that already predated you. This thing existed before you. Like, you are hired to do a job.
Right.
There's someone who's guilty of that, and I know people are going to be pissed by my opinion, but it's still true. Zack Snyder is guilty of this.
I
Please go
agree.
on. Let's hear you out.
The Zack Snyder Justice League movie, what. In fact, there's a lot of a man carrying his own agenda at the expense of the original content. If you pay careful attention to that movie,
Which movie? The Justice League.
Yeah.
No, even Batman versus Superman, something that is infuriating to me, right, is that how would Superman be able to find Lois and not find his mother? That doesn't make sense.
You said that before. He flew across the world.
And remember, Lois is not screaming, by the way. Lois is not crying. Lois is not anything. Like, when he finds her, all she does is this. And then he finds her. Zoops. When she's falling off the building, zoops. Why can't you find Martha? Why can't you find Martha Kent? What is happening here? And then
Okay, we'll get to it.
I won't get to it.
But anyway, I'm saying
there was a meme where there's like an article where it says Zack Snyder originally wanted to make it as the ladies from Themyscira were part Kryptonian and whatever like that.
Oh,
and then came the image. Like, some things are just dumb. You know, from the Glass Onion movies, like this, some things are just dumb, and I'm thinking, and then it's like, it's so dumb, it's genius. No, it's just
genius.
dumb.
Not genius.
But anyway, getting back to T'Challa, right? And like, this is something that I think people are just not grasping, okay, with this character. First off, anybody remember Mephisto? Oh, Mephisto's coming. Mephisto's coming. T'Challa ripped Mephisto's heart out.
Oh, flip.
Straight Mortal Kombat, put it in a jar, ripped it out.
Why? What was happening there?
Mephisto wanted the souls of Wakanda and wanted the souls of T'Challa. So he empowered this guy called Achebe. I think that's how we pronounce it. It's Achebe. The way I know African dialects, I guess, is that it's not something where we hide letters. So I know I in my mind it's Achebe. Achebe is basically the Joker for T'Challa.
Okay.
So he makes a deal with the devil, right? Achebe makes a deal with and the legend is that he was a farmer that was married to this woman. Some freedom fighters or whatever, they land up on his farm. He takes care of those farmers, of those freedom fighters on his farm. His wife falls in love with one of the revolutionaries. They stab him 18 times, leave him for dead. He makes a deal with the devil. He comes back to life, hunts down everybody in his ex-wife's family, hunts down anybody that gave her anything, that sold her anything at a discount, hunts down the rebels and all of their family as well, chases the last guy across the desert to make sure that he's dead, and then blames Wakanda for the regional disturbance and everything, inserts himself in Wakanda, stages a coup, and all of that stuff. But T'Challa figures out something is wrong, and then he figures out that Mephisto is involved. So what he does is he makes himself appear to be vulnerable for Mephisto to attack. He figures out that Mephisto's powers is connected to his realm, and the longer that he's on Earth, if the things are changing around him, like the molecular levels and all of that stuff, then there is a period in time where Mephisto is weak. So T'Challa takes his whole staff, they do this whole ritual and everything. It makes Mephisto weak enough for T'Challa to strike within a 5-second window to rip his heart out.
That is a better movie than Wakanda Forever.
Hey, guys.
My
remember
goodness.
that time where we were all suspecting that it was Mephisto that was going to be the main bad guy for WandaVision.
Or Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. And I may be hijacking.
Now they're busy doing like Agatha. Why are we getting an Agatha?
No. Guys, I don't want to hijack this. This is about T'Challa, but I just want to say it right out loud for the whole world to hear. In any given normal circumstance, Doctor Strange has more than a fair chance of kicking Scarlet Witch's ass. Not
even more of a fair chance. He can do it if they actually gave him his powers.
Yeah. So the whole.
But he's basically the Doctor Fate
of the Marvel
Universe. He's the Doctor Fate of the Marvel Universe.
No,
but it goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah,
it goes back to directors, actors, some writers who don't know anything about these characters are the ones that are given an opportunity to write stuff for these characters.
No, I don't blame actors. Because I'm just like, you have to act what's on the script. I'm looking at the writers. Like sometimes actors, you should get involved because unfortunately, like Kobe Smulders, the person who was playing Maria Hill, if she knew what her character was about, she would never have let them kill that character off in the first episode of Secret Invasion. Because I'm just like, you're literally Nick Fury's replacement. You cut your career in half.
Yes, why? But that's also why Henry Cavill is pulling out on some projects because it's like, no, guys, what the hell?
And that doesn't make sense to me. I'm just like, the reason you're adapting this material is because the stuff that's in the books got popular enough that people wanted to see that in live action. Why would you?
And that's what I said before. Is the easiest job in the world. You just take what it's already established and put it into a script.
Look at what anime is doing, adapting from manga without the filler, and just do the same thing.
It's so easy, easy.
Look, and when comic books are convoluted, I get that. But you just need to get somebody who knows how to write, take that stuff, and you can make it work. Now, also, Mephisto is connected to Doctor Doom. T'Challa fought Doctor Doom in this thing called Doom War. Yeah. Now, in Doom War, what happened is that Doctor Doom figured out a way to infect the water in Wakanda so he could infect all of the country with nanites. He infected the food, sorry, not the water. So T'Challa figured out that there is this plot happening that's trying to take over Wakanda. So what he does is, and this time he's married to Storm and everything, but what he does is, and he can't even communicate with Storm. He can't tell her what's happening because she's also infected by these nanites. So Doom is spying on the whole of Wakanda. T'Challa figures that out. So what he does is that he always goes out into the forest and he eats off of the fat of the land only because he knows Doom hasn't gotten to that yet. And Doom is worried about, like, where is T'Challa? Where is T'Challa? What is going on? Because Doom obviously wants vibranium as well, because vibranium, outside of being a technological marvel, it also has the powers of mysticism. So now what's happening is that T'Challa has figured out that somewhere, somehow, Doom has infected Wakanda. So he basically has to ditch Storm and ditch his mom and ditch his people to go get help to fight Doom. And he recruits the X-Men, he recruits some Avengers, some of the Avengers. He recruits the Fantastic Four as well. And there's this beautiful panel, because basically what he figures out is that Doom figures out how to outthink Reed Richards and T'Challa, because that's how Boss Doom is. So T'Challa starts getting radical. So what he does is T'Challa creates a whole new dimension of physics called shadow physics, where he basically figures out how everything is connected on the quantum level and basically figures out how to travel through the quantum realm, a la instant transmission.
What the hell?
Like a la instant transmission style. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please continue.
Okay.
Let's hear him out and then.
Yeah. So he figures out how to make teleportation on a quantum level so that you can't be detected, essentially. And then he figures out how to connect all of the vibranium in the world and in Wakanda through this shadow physics, because Doom is kicking everybody's ass. Like, the vibranium is just enhancing Doom's powers and all of that stuff. And Doom even has this scene with Bast, where that's another thing that the MCU, I need y'all guys to stop it, but we'll talk about Bast in a second. But yeah. Now, T'Challa figures out that I can't beat Doom this way. So what I have to do is I have to destroy all the vibranium. And Doom gives him this speech where he's just like, Wakanda is nothing without vibranium, blah, blah, blah. And T'Challa tells him, honor doesn't come from a thing, it comes from within. Thank you for giving me your armor. It's the perfect conduit to do what is necessary. Then he blows up all of the vibranium in Wakanda and across the planet, leaving it inert. And he basically defeats Doom that way because he figures out how to connect every piece of vibranium on a quantum realm and creates this new form of science.
So that's how it ends, and what happens to the vibranium then?
Basically what happens is that over the years, Wakanda and the scientists and T'Challa and everything, they figure out how to resuscitate it and all of that stuff. And they figure out how to make sure that it's more like, safe from people like from people like Doom.
Amazing.
I think the other thing people tend to forget that is not translated well enough in the MCU is that vibranium is incredibly powerful.
Yes.
People like to think of it, if you look at the MCU, you're just thinking about it, you'd compare to adamantium, basically.
Yeah, that's what you would do, yes.
Yeah, and while in the
it's way stronger.
In the comics and in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, you see that there is a mystical element to it. I mean, the Dark Elves are weak against iron, but they're also weak against vibranium.
Right.
Vibranium can hurt what do you call them? The Asgardians. And we are talking about, and never mind Kling, Wolverine. Even the question, can Wolverine's claws cut through Captain America's shields? Forget that. There are other things about vibranium that people don't realize about. They don't know about, and that's the thing that's sorely lacking, because everybody's just looking at vibranium as the adamantium counterpart because they couldn't use adamantium in the MCU. And I mean, guys, the other types, it was adamantium, there is vibranium.
No, there's Antarctic vibranium that can cut through, that becomes anti-metal, that can cut through other metals because it breaks the metals down at a molecular level.
Look at that. So there's so many OP metals in the Marvel universe.
So, jeez, man, your knowledge on Black Panther is truly amazing. I think I'm either gonna call this video Black Panther Masterclass or Black Panther Black Panther in-depth discussion, something like that. I don't know which one sounds better.
That's a genius idea. We actually should do that.
Black Panther Masterclass, no?
Okay,
Black
so
Panther
guys, we gotta get into T'Challa's lineage now, and now we gotta get into the story that the MCU is butchering. So you guys mentioned it up top where T'Challa joined the Illuminati. Now, we have to understand this is an Illuminati that had Namor, and this is Namor still with the aftermath of flooding Wakanda, right? So what happens in the storyline is that T'Challa is organizing this excursion with a bunch of Wakandan children, and he's basically talking about the Wakandan space program where they're not just going into space, they're going into other dimensions, basically. So they're doing interdimensional travel and all of that stuff, right? Then what T'Challa discovers is that there is this thing called, I think it's called Rabum Alal, something like that. I might be mispronouncing it, but basically it's called the Wheel, and it's led by this person who's called the Black Swan. So T'Challa discovers that this lady is wielding a device that can destroy a planet. And the lady in the process kills those Wakandan children that T'Challa was with. And T'Challa, what he does is he kills her bodyguards. And the only reason he doesn't kill her is because he needs her to explain why the sky is red, why there was another planet where the moon was supposed to be, and why did you blow it up? So he takes this woman, and then he calls everyone in the Illuminati. He calls Reed Richards, he calls Iron Man, he calls Doctor Strange, he calls Beast was in the Illuminati at the time because Professor X was dead. And then he has
and Black Bolt, right?
Yes, and Black Bolt, yes. And he also has Namor in like the dungeons of Wakanda. And Namor is teasing him. Namor is saying, "Oh, I remember when you said that we shouldn't be in the Illuminati. I remember when you said that we should all walk away. Are we foolish now, Mr. King?" And all of that stuff.
I would have ripped off his legs again.
No, what T'Challa says to him is that you will not talk to anybody besides me. You will not walk around the grounds. Do you understand? And then Namor's still doing that thing of Namor, and then he's like, "Do you understand?" And then Namor's like, "Okay, I understand." And then T'Challa's like, "Right now we have to save the world. That right now that's the priority. But you need to know after that's finished, after my wants replace my needs, I'm going to kill you." So they all assemble in the council. They all discuss what's happening. And guess what's happening? It's the incursions. That whole thing that they keep throwing around in the MCU, it's the incursions. And the incursions don't happen in the comics just because somebody was messing with some phenomenal power. No, it's supposedly a natural phenomenon in the universe that's connected to the Beyonders, which is a whole other story. Because we're going to definitely get into that. We have to get into that as well. So T'Challa figures out that there's something going on with the incursions. The Illuminati forms. He's working with Namor simply to protect the world, right? So it comes to a head. It gets to a point. So in between Thanos and the Black Order,
and all the crazy stuff.
Yeah, and and Shuri at this time is queen, right? Shuri is the one that pursues war with Atlantis. Shuri is the one who says, "We're not going to do this thing of diplomacy," because T'Challa's just like, "Everybody relax. The only person that needs to die in this scenario is Namor. You don't need to kill all of these Atlanteans to get back at Namor." And the council and Shuri and everybody says, no, they made a mockery of Wakanda. They need a message. So Shuri sends all of the Hatut Zaraze, which is the dogs of war, and the Dora Milaje and everything. They go in there and they slaughter. I'm talking about they slaughter Atlantis. And they slaughter Atlantis underneath the water, by the way.
Yes, that's one thing I was also hoping that through the movie that it wasn't just like, oh wow, their neighbor attacked Wakanda and whoa, we just left. I was waiting for a proper counterattack to show that it's war now. If you're gonna show Shuri being emotional and angry and she's taking things to the extreme, then show that the extreme that we're expecting. Show that she was also willing to go to that underwater city and do some terrifying damage.
It would have even made more sense because you know how people usually deal with grief?
Yeah.
They take it out on other people.
Yeah.
So it would have made sense for
Well, that's not taking it out. That's just the eye for an eye because Namor came in there and killed the mom and said, "You're the queen now," and left.
Yeah. So that's...
yeah. I'm just saying when someone lost something, and I think that's also what Namor said when he said that real leaders are made out of great pain or something like that.
Only the most broken people can become great leaders.
Yes, I'm just saying that.
Did I just quote that movie?
It still would have made sense if she took out all her anger on.
We're definitely going to talk about the movie, though.
The brother had died, the mom had died, so come on, you must be pissed off.
And she went to the ancestral plane and she saw who?
we'll get to the movie.
I'd have been like, yeah, let's go to war. Yeah, thank you. Send the war dogs. Like, drop a nuke in that city. I don't care.
Killmonger being the cousin, was it from the comics or is that an MCU
that's
thing?
An MCU thing because in the comics, his origin is that T'Challa's dad dies. There's a huge upheaval. T'Challa's dad dies to Claw, by the way. So there's a huge upheaval. Everything is going topsy-turvy. Killmonger gets kidnapped by Wakandan trying to flee all of this mess and everything. They go to America. This guy is abusive. He ends up getting killed. So Killmonger blames the royal family and T'Challa for all of the political upheaval that cost him his family and his peaceful way of life. So he fools T'Challa to get back into Wakanda and then takes full advantage, leads a whole rebellion with zombies, by the way, against the royal throne. And that's his origin in the comics.
Just how many rebellions did T'Challa have to deal with? Dear God, he's been suffering.
It's quite a few. It's quite a few in the comics.
No wonder it makes sense because
no wonder in the end he ends up becoming a galactic emperor. I mean, he's been squashing rebellions left, right, and center like an emperor.
I'm surprised that he doesn't have gray hairs by now.
I think after one or two rebellions he watched Star Wars and he thought,
I'm gonna be Palpatine out here.
But the good version. But anyway, because getting back to that, Shuri leads the attack. Shuri is the one who orders the hit. And there's something in comic books that happens where writers start misremembering events and they start blaming T'Challa for things that are not his fault, which stop that. Anyway, so what's this? Shuri basically makes the decision, and and T'Challa being a team player, he bows to Shuri's decision, and he decides to be the distraction for Namor, so Namor is not there to help his people resist Wakanda's attack. So Namor, in revenge, tells the Black Order that Wakanda has an Infinity Stone. So the Black Order go the first time and they lose to Wakanda. Then they come the second time and they destroy all of Wakanda. All of it. To the point where it's bad. And T'Challa has to make a decision right now whether to stay with his people or to go and save the Earth and the universe. Because incursions destroy all of reality. That's the thing that they do.
It's one of those stories where you can see, when there's a universal threat, but then people are still caught up in their own ish.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's frustrating, but it's also a common denominator. it makes for interesting writing in some cases. I mean, it's
Yeah.
there
But I'm
comes a
saying
point.
like that's like and remember prior to this, right? Prior to this, Wakanda discovers that Namor is in Necropolis. Now Necropolis is the underground city. Basically it's the graveyard, and T'Challa is king of the dead. So he's king of this like mystical graveyard thing or
Yes.
whatever, which is really cool. So Wakanda discovers that Namor is with T'Challa. T'Challa and Shuri is there, and T'Challa can't explain what is happening because he's just like, if we tell people that reality is ending, there's a big chance that the whole world is just going to go to shit. Like, there's a big chance where, like, everybody's just going to panic, right? So the Illuminati, in their hubris, which is something that's interesting about those characters specifically, they decide that they can make the best decision for the planet,
Yeah,
right?
it's one of it's the big weakness of all the group of super geniuses is that they decide we need to keep this a secret so that we can keep the masses calm. We'll decide what's the best way to save the world.
Yes. So that is a big conflict between Shuri and T'Challa because Shuri is like, why can't you tell me why he's here? Why are you conspiring with this guy? What is it about? But interestingly enough, Shuri still trusts T'Challa enough just to say, you are exiled until this is done. Whatever this is, you are exiled. You're not welcome in Wakanda until this is finished. But when things go sideways, the first thing she does is she turns into a little sister and she relies on her brother and she cries in front of him. And then they have a heartfelt goodbye as she makes her last stand against the Black Order because she finally understands that it's reality that's in danger, right?
Yes.
It was very heartfelt in the comic books.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. So T'Challa and them go. And like one thing that I did not like about that writing is that the Avengers were trying to act like T'Challa didn't lose his whole kingdom or whatever because everybody was judging him and his decisions. And it's just like, can you ease up? Like he just lost his entire kingdom. Can we relax?
That's one of the issues that the X-Men have with the Avengers is you guys sometimes don't care about what we're going through, right?
Yeah.
But you behave as if our actions are not within reason. Like some of the things that we're doing because we're going through some of these things, and you guys were not even there to assist you. You just don't seem to care, right?
The
And then now
X-Men
you want to butt
is a
in.
mixed bag for me, but yeah.
Now you guys want to butt in our situations and act like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I get it. I understand.
Yeah. The Avengers, for me, the Avengers are like the acting with a Justice League level authority without having League level powers. I don't know why where they can get off thinking that they can determine what's right and wrong for everybody when they don't even have the resources to take care of everybody's problems.
It's because of Cap, I think.
Yeah, but anyway, so getting back to this story, they finally figure out how incursions work, right? And they make the move to blow up a planet. So before all of that stuff that I was talking about, in the midst of all of that war planning and everything, the first planet they find is a barren wasteland. Because like the first incursion, they just get to blow up an Earth that's empty, and like they still feel very conflicted about this. It's very conflicting. So they do it right now. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I skipped a very important thing. So before the Black Order and all of that stuff, right? There's another planet that they find, and this time it's a planet full of heroes, and it's basically technically you mentioned the Justice League. It's technically like a Justice League-esque type team or whatever.
Oh, I'm familiar with those guys. Team.
No. It's not the team that you're thinking of. It's not Hyperion. What was it? Squadron Supreme. There we go. It's not Squadron Supreme.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it's a version of Squadron Supreme. Maybe. But anyway, they're coming from another Earth, right? Mm-hmm. And T'Challa sees a machine, like they're building a machine of scenarios or whatever. Like he built a machine with everybody where they're calculating scenarios, and these superheroes come from this Earth. And that Earth is the next Earth that they're going to be in collision with, right? So now T'Challa is hella conflicted because his code of ethics is I can kill a vile, evil person. I have no problem with that. But innocent men, women, and children have to be aligned. So he goes to the ancestral plane and he goes to speak to the Black Panthers of the past. And he literally tells them what the situation is. And the whole consensus is that, yeah, let it burn.
No, fuck them.
Yeah. And T'Challa's just like, what? He's like, no,
So,
you were a king, right?
Wait. Which one came first, the last Airbender or that chapter? Because it's giving
Last
Korra
Airbender
giving advice
vibes.
to Aang.
No. It is. No, but I mean, Kyoshi was talking about saving the world.
Yeah.
These Panther people are talking about destroying a whole world full of innocent people who have nothing to do with anything, and their heroes are trying to prevent this situation.
Yeah, fuck it.
So he's like, they're like, yeah, and T'Challa's like, no, there has to be some sort of line. There has to be some sort of honor here. I can't just kill innocent men, women, and children.
Your line is at your kingdom.
Yeah, no, and that's what they say. They're basically like, if it's for the Golden City, let it burn. We're not. We do. You are king of this Wakanda. You let that place burn. And T'Challa basically like, okay, I guess this is what I have to do. And then before he even leaves, the spirit of his father, T'Chaka, comes back and he's just like, why isn't Namor dead?
Wow.
Why is Namor still alive?
Right.
And T'Challa's like, you dare question me? You dare, father. You. It's like I have annulled my marriage. I have killed millions of people in the name of Wakanda. I put Wakanda before myself every time. How dare you question me? Namor lives because I need him right now. When that's over, you will have your body.
No, let's put it into context. Compared to the other kings, how many? Let's compare T'Challa's kill count compared to the other kings.
Well, I mean, again, T'Challa's got a pretty extensive body count, but like the other characters, they don't have enough stories where we can accurately put their body count together.
Yeah.
But we assume that it's pretty high, because they've been in a lot of wars and they've crushed a lot of rebellions and they've consolidated a lot of power.
But how many of them have taken on threats from other dimensions and
killed
them?
No, T'Challa's the only one of his kind.
So that kill count is for a man who's like indecisive and soft. I mean, his body count says a lot.
Exactly.
But that's the interesting part about the character. Anyway, so getting back to it. So we end up getting to, also they give us like a bit of a backstory where T'Chaka is basically like a king's morality is above everyone else's. It's above these peasants. It's above all of these people. Like a king's morality is not, it's not this thing, like you trying to be a superhero right now. You need to be a sovereign. You need to be a king. Right. And then we get a backstory of where T'Chaka watched a bunch of refugees starve because he was like, I can't let them into Wakanda because if they come into Wakanda, they're going to ruin our economy. So he closed the gates on them as these people are dying in the desert.
Hold the F up. Refugees would ruin the economy of Wakanda.
That's what he was saying.
How? Aren't they so rich in vibranium that they could...
But he was saying that we can't just let people in. We can't just bring people's problems here.
Were the refugees 3 billion of them?
Yes. T'Chaka was very. Yeah. He was very much xenophobic. This is why T'Challa is such an anomaly to everybody, because they don't understand why he's just letting people in. They don't.
But that's weird. Okay, I guess he's not racist. He's xenophobic, but he's not racist because they adopted a white kid. Okay.
No, but now remember, the white kid, that's what makes T'Chaka interesting. The white kid crashed in a jungle in Wakanda. And the council said that they should let this baby die. But he gets convinced, and I think it's by his first wife, Nyami, something like that, to keep this white kid.
Wait, first wife?
Yes, because he has 2 wives. So the first wife is Nyami. Oh. She dies to childbirth when T'Challa's born.
Oh.
Yes. And
So
then
Shuri and T'Challa
Ramonda,
don't have the same mom.
no, so Ramonda comes from South Africa. Basically, she was a freedom fighter in apartheid, and she was looking for some way to fight apartheid with other means. So she traveled and she ended up in Wakanda, and she found T'Challa. And then basically her and T'Chaka fall in love. And that's when T'Chaka takes a softer stance because he was much more kinder when Nyami was alive. And that incident happens after her death.
And then it
So he becomes
cold-hearted.
more hardened and he becomes more closed off to the world and all of that stuff.
Kill the refugees. Die, bitch.
Yeah, and he basically even has a whole slew of like, women and whatever and all of that stuff as a king. He tries to drown himself in drink. It was very depressing for him until he met Ramonda.
The power of love.
Yes. So that's the story that T'Chaka tells T'Challa, that you have to put the Golden City first. So we get to this point where they fight those guys, and T'Challa's heart is shattering in two. He is trying to negotiate with these heroes to find something out. And basically, Namor is the one that pulls the trigger. And he's basically like, if I must become this thing, let me become it at my own time. So he basically pulls the trigger. He stabs one of the superheroes in the chest. Everybody starts fighting. It's chaos and pandemonium. T'Challa versus the Batman I can't speak.
Analogy.
Analogy, that one. Yeah, that one.
Anomaly.
Yeah, he fights the Batman analogy, and basically the Batman analogy tells him, I'm the last person you want to try this with. I'm the last person you want to give a speech to. I know what you guys are, and what you're willing to do to me, I'm willing to do to you. So T'Challa's like, well, I guess there will be... and then T'Challa's like, I guess there will be death here. That's kind of the line in the comics. So basically, they defeat those heroes because Doctor Strange whips out a strange power out of his ass or whatever, because he's Doctor Strange. And then it comes to the point where they have to use the device that they built to blow up that planet.
Wait,
so
how many parts are there in this comic book?
It's I think it's a four volume thing. I think
that's all information in for volume.
From volumes,
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole storyline, I think, is about it's 6 volumes leading up to Secret Wars, which is something we also need to talk about. So it's 6 volumes leading up to Secret Wars.
Is it an Avengers thing or is it a Black Panther thing?
No. It's an Avengers thing. But basically, all of this leads to that. And Black Panther has a huge, significant role in Secret Wars, which is amazing. So I have to
Secret Wars, the 80s version?
No. Secret Wars, the 2015 version.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, it comes to when they have to use the device, right? So what happens is that everybody says they can't do it. Everybody's crumbling underneath the pressure. So T'Challa grabs the device, right? He's literally like, I have to be the one to do it. All his ancestors, the Black Panthers that he had the conversation with, they come behind him and they're just like, do it, son. Do it for Wakanda. And T'Challa folds. T'Challa starts crying. T'Challa's just like, I can't do this. Like his humanity starts taking over where he's just like, this is wrong. We shouldn't have built this device. What were we thinking? And he gets banished from the ancestral plane.
Damn.
So Namor.
He's still the god. He's still okay. No, okay. Let me not.
So Namor takes the device, presses the button, blows the planet, and everybody is horrified.
It's Namor, bitch.
What to do? They don't everyone is horrified. Then Namor tells T'Challa that he sent the Black Order to Wakanda.
Oh no.
T'Challa is furious. T'Challa attempts to kill Namor, and he comes pretty close until everyone else steps in. And then another incursion happens.
So it was all for naught.
No, so they all decide we can't do this. T'Challa's just like, the last thing I'm going to do before my Earth blows up is I'm going to kill Namor. But outside of that, I can't do this. Everybody says they can't do this. So T'Challa, in the last hours, runs to Storm, tells her that he loves her and that he would have spent the rest of his life with her. And he's like, you know, me being who I am, I thought I would have chosen duty over my heart, but I didn't. So
what did Storm say to that, bro?
And then everybody waits. Nothing happens. There's no explosion. Everybody panics in the Illuminati. And T'Challa's the first one to say it. He's like, yeah, we better have been wrong. Our calculations have better been off. Otherwise, we killed a planet for nothing. Turns out, Namor started a cabal and went around blowing up other Earths to keep that reality safe. So they all find that out, and they basically find out the last incursion place or something like that. I'm mixing up events a little bit.
Yeah.
But basically, it turns out that Namor and T'Challa have to team up. So what T'Challa does is T'Challa comes with a knife. And Shuri, he remembers Shuri giving him this knife because it's the knife that he gave to Shuri on her inauguration. Yeah. And he's like, this is the knives of queens and kings and whatever of Wakanda. It's a ceremonial knife. So she gives it back to him before he leaves to go save the universe. And she's like, please put this where it belongs. So T'Challa grabs the knife and he stabs Namor in the chest.
Good boy.
And Namor's just like, oh, you thought this would be enough to kill me? And then T'Challa, no, that's not what's going to kill you. I just put it where it belongs. This is what's going to kill you. So he apparently teams up with Black Bolt. Black Bolt blasts Namor onto a platform. And this is the platform with the incursion bomb, right? Because they're going to try and blow this thing up. And this is supposed to be the solution that stops the incursions. Mm-hmm. T'Challa waits for Namor to be conscious. Namor screams, T'Challa presses the button and attempts to blow Namor up. And in the dialogue, he says, I know what you're thinking. You're asking me, why am I waiting? Because I want him to know. I want him to be conscious. And I want him to know it was me.
That sounds like a Batman thing, but yeah, I get it.
But that is Black Panther. Black Panther is the Batman who kills.
And yes. Batman wouldn't blow somebody up because he hates him.
No, but the line where Batman is telling Superman in the Dark Knight Returns that I want you to remember that I'm the one that did this. Yeah.
And he did absolutely nothing because.
But yeah, so basically, Namor gets saved again before he gets blown up because they still need that character. But T'Challa attempted to blow him up, right? Then what happens is that Doom found out how these incursions work. He found out the source. He goes and gets, I think his name is the Molecule Man and Doctor Strange, and they basically travel to like the end of the universe or something like that. And they basically start secret wars because Doom takes the powers of Doom basically gets the powers of the Beyonders, and he decides to remake the Earth and everything in his own image.
Surprise!
Isn't that what he did in the 80s as well?
No, he gets the powers, but he doesn't win. He doesn't get to use them. Like basically, they go back to the Beyonder pretty much as soon as Doom gets them.
Yeah.
So what happens is that Doom remakes reality in his own image and everything. During this time, when they figure out that they can't stop the incursions, because that bomb didn't stop the incursions either, right? So during this time, T'Challa constructs a life raft to survive the end of everything. So Valeria Richards, Reed Richards' daughter, she basically says, you guys can't beat this thing. You need to figure out how to not lose. So Reed Richards asks T'Challa to construct this life raft. And this is something that's showing the intelligence of T'Challa because he creates the design that survives the end of reality. Like everybody that survives that incursion stuff and everything, it's
Thanks to
it's thanks to T'Challa, basically.
so okay, because I can we've gone up to 2 hours now, so I wanted to just add. So it because this is a wonderful masterclass of the origins of
Sorry, there's
T'Challa.
a lot going on.
No, there's a lot, and there's a lot of lore that's missed out for people who are casual fans, or people who can't even who can't afford to get the original source material. So this is one of those extremely vital parts of fandom.
Yeah, this is for me. I feel like this is super geek mode. Like this is
Yeah.
yeah. We've gone into the hyperbolic time chamber, and
Yes. And
MeisterGeek Media.
and that's I love it. I love this whole lesson that you've gotten. This is the things that I should have gotten at school. That being said, I just wanted to say as a conclusion that T'Challa's awesome.
yes.
The reason why we want to say bring back T'Challa is not because is not in spite of what's everything that's happening with Shuri and them, is because we want to see this character. If we can get multiple Supermans, if we can get multiple Batmans, if we can get multiple Spider-Mans,
James Bonds,
and everything like that, surely it's not too much to ask to have a multiple to get to recast T'Challa. Just the same way as like it's not. Is it really asking too much to recast Iron Man? Is it so much to ask to recast
with T'Challa? Everybody would have understood. Chadwick passed away. It's not like they fired him.
Yeah,
and the other thing is people need to understand with recast T'Challa, right? Because I've been telling you how awesome T'Challa is. I probably should have gotten more into this hashtag, but just to wrap it up quick. In the tag, we never said that he must be in Wakanda forever. We never said that.
No.
Wakanda Forever is a difficult movie for me to watch simply because they made an unnecessary decision. Killing T'Challa was unnecessary because they had cryostasis. They had the blip. He could have been in space. Fine. If you don't want to put him in space, do the blip or put him in cryostasis like how they froze Bucky. Like, there was no need to kill T'Challa because it downgrades Wakanda, it downgrades T'Challa, it downgrades Shuri, and it makes zero sense. His death in that movie makes zero sense. There was no context in which it works because we never know when he got sick, we never know how he got sick, and we don't know why Shuri is making an herb when he already has the heart-shaped herb. So, again, you could have just put it in the cryostasis chamber. Recast T'Challa never said T'Challa had to be in Wakanda forever. We just said don't kill the character. That's it. That's it. Recast for Black Panther 3 when everybody's minds is fresh and you've mourned and everything. That's all we were asking for.
Yeah,
but their solution is now to create
T'Challa Jr. Oh my God.
T'Challa again, but
no, it's what you said earlier. They're trying to rush out Young Avengers. Yeah. They're just trying to rush out the next generation of stuff. I mean, how many Iron Man-like armors are we seeing? Right. How many? I mean, we've got a mini Thor now. Got a mini.
But I'm saying T'Challa Jr., it doesn't work. One, if he's supposed to be an heir, who's supposed to teach him how to be a king? Because Shuri's not a royal anymore.
M'Baku?
Why would he be training other people's kids?
He should be having
kids. No, but having kids of his own.
Isn't he supposed to be a king now? Did you see how Wakanda Forever ended?
Yeah, but I'm saying he's supposed to be having kids of his own. Like,
no, I agree.
That's why him being king doesn't make sense. Like, Shuri abdicating the throne doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
she cheated to get it because she fought him during Challenge Day when she had the herb. That doesn't make sense.
No, she didn't.
She arm wrestles him, basically.
That wasn't Challenge Day.
He said it's Challenge Day. He literally says the Black Panther is reborn. That's what he says.
Oh, I just thought, I was just thinking, oh, okay, let's see. Did you actually do it? Wow, you actually did it.
No, that's what they say the Challenge Day is. That's how she becomes queen. Because remember, she commands all of the military to go into the sea.
She did the Dora Milaje, everybody was like, yeah, you do have a point there. It's like, wow. Because they're supposed to strip the power of the heart-shaped earth.
Stripped away.
Can you talk about the accents? I'm sorry.
No, Forrest Whitaker found his own accent. Forrest Whitaker, I don't know where he was from in Africa. No, T'Challa did. Chadwick actually had the best accent outside of the actual South African in the movie.
You know, and to break my heart.
De Muntwana wa Ndiguba, like what was Michael? What are you
Ngubani. No, but he's not the only one, and he gets a pass because he's supposed to be American.
Because he's supposed to be American, yeah.
There's that one woman in thingy when Atandwakani comes out the time T'Chaka comes the first time through when he finds his brother or whatever in Jobu, who's not a character in the comic books whatsoever. He's an MCU character. And there's that one lady who's like Ngubani, and I'm just like, wait, what? I think she says Ngubani or something like that.
You know what got my blood boiling a little was learning that one of the Dora Milaje is from Zimbabwe, and she doesn't say a single line.
Well, the whole thing is supposed to be that they based it off of the Xhosa culture.
I know.
Yeah, but yeah, I
you remember the lady in Winter Soldier? What's this? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Ngizengo Zimo. Like, yo.
The Dora Milaje have authority wherever the Dora Milaje so happen to be.
We do not have jurisdiction anywhere.
Like we have a jurisdiction wherever we are. Listen.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying. So anyway, and so
yeah, we have jurisdiction everywhere. Oh,
yeah. So like with the killing of T'Challa, right? It doesn't make sense narratively. It doesn't. And also, the MCU has resurrected characters before. The Gamora, Thanos, and Loki have all been resurrected.
I don't want to sound like what you call it. I don't want to sound like that guy, but Disney was trying to capitalize on on Chadwick's death.
No, I can see that now. Personally, I have that opinion now. I did not have that opinion before, but now most definitely, because they keep bringing him up. They keep using his face. Every time we're supposed to see T'Challa in movies, they want us to think of Chadwick. And that to me is exploited because you want us to honor a franchise because this man passed. Whereas you don't honor a person.
Apple Walker.
You don't honor a person because of the work that they did. You honor them because of who they were. You don't need to pay money to the Black Panther franchise to remember Chadwick Boseman. That's not how that works. Especially when his own brother, Derek Boseman, his elder brother, came out, and there's video evidence of this. His own brother came out and said, I think my brother would have wanted the character recast. I think they should recast the character.
Chadwick say the same thing as well? Didn't he say that Black Panther should continue even if he's not?
He said something to that effect, but he also said something about how Hollywood only allows one black leading man at a time, and we need to stop it. We need to stop this thing of only leading black. Because whenever you're doing well with movies, they're going to say you're the next Denzel or whatever. Right. And he's just like, we need to stop this. I root for everybody. So
look at the characters in the MCU. Falcon now, it's like people are now forced to think he's Captain America, but he was not given enough room to begin with for us to even think that he deserves
the fact that we are calling him Falcon.
Right.
He didn't need to be Captain America, in my opinion.
In the comics he was, but what I'm trying to say is it doesn't feel deserved. And even with Rhodey is probably the oldest black character in the MCU or superhero, but we've never really gotten anything strong from him. I'm not talking about performance. I'm talking about story-wise.
We don't know his character.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, for me personally, with the Falcon stuff, I enjoyed it when he was Falcon. I liked him as Falcon. I didn't need the Captain America stuff, even though I know it happened in the comics, because I'm just like, the thing that bothers me about that is people only started investing in Sam Wilson when he was wearing the Captain America garb. And to me, that's a problem. I'm just like, why can't you give this guy some stuff when he's his own character? Why do you have to wait for? But anyway,
still nerfed in the MCU. Like he's still nerfed. He's the one who gets beaten by Ant-Man. Like it's like, guys,
And not look. It's not just any Ant-Man. It's the replacement.
Scott Lang.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it was Hank Pym, absolutely, I would understand. I would like, yeah. I mean, I've seen what Hank Pym can do, so yeah, it makes sense. That would make sense. But the replacement thief,
the guy who just became a superhero like a week ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to T'Challa, right? Now we've talked about the social aspects and all of that thing, and like I do want to get into before we wrap this up because this is very important to me. But the thing that we need to also look at, right, is that business-wise, it doesn't make sense to kill this character. It just does not. The MCU has not had a direction ever since T'Challa was killed off.
Yeah.
There's nowhere where they're going. And T'Challa is the perfect candidate to not only lead the Avengers, but to also set up both villains for Phase 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Right.
He's the perfect segue for Doom. He's the perfect segue for Mephisto. And Mephisto is the person that creates Doom. So, if you make a movie where Mephisto loses to T'Challa, and decides to go through an intermediary that becomes Doom, that is the perfect setup for Doom War, the Fantastic Four, Mephisto versus everybody, the X-Men.
Yeah, it's a perfect catalyst. The problem with the MCU is that they have no vision. It's like, in my context, and correct me if I'm mistaken, it's like, you've got a character. I'm trying to think of an equivalent in the Justice League that's apart from the big three that's just as important, like Cyborg or something like that, right? You kill off Cyborg, and then you decide not to bring something in. The plot stagnates, and no, Cyborg's not good. It's not good enough. Yeah, it's like you've killed off Batman
or Flash.
A Flash. Yeah, there you go. You've killed off Flash.
Or Superman. Not even technically, Superman.
Yeah, so you
Superman.
You kill out Superman, and then you're saying, okay, we're gonna continue with Justice League, but without Superman. We're gonna have lots of other super-like characters, but no, Superman is no longer there. And I'm thinking,
yeah, they like doing that nonsense. Hollywood likes doing that. It's like killing Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2. You're like, how he's one of the main characters. Why would you kill Johnny Cage?
And look at how well that movie ended up.
Exactly.
But I'm saying the thing is, they recast these characters. Like, they just do. There's no universe where they will kill Peter Parker to bring in Miles Morales. I dare you, Marvel. I dare you.
They would.
No, they would not. Peter Parker. Did you guys forget about the controversy where people were sending death threats because they changed Peter Parker's face in the PlayStation game? Yeah. Tell me they would kill Peter Parker in live action and bring in Miles Morales. There's no way. Even in Into the Spider-Verse, they killed Peter Parker and then they brought another one.
Another Peter Parker.
And have you noticed, okay, there's rumors that Thunderbolts is coming out and whatever, but when you read some of these rumors, it seems like Armor Wars is sort of like Thunderbolts Nyana type of. It's like, so for the only way Armor Wars is gonna work is if we include a lot of other characters instead of just fleshing out War Machine.
Yeah. And the other thing is that where they were going with Wakanda Forever is apparently they were going to do Wakanda versus the Thunderbolts. So the Thunderbolts were also going to get to beat up Wakanda because that's the thing now. Everybody gets to kick Wakanda's ass, basically. And it doesn't make... And that's what I'm saying. And then also, outside of all of that stuff, T'Challa's cultural impact is phenomenal. We didn't have a Comic-Con until 2018.
Yes.
Why?
Black
we
Panther.
all nerds here.
Black Panther. We had Rage, and now Rage is the thing that we shall not talk about. We had Rage.
But like I'm saying, like Rage felt more like it was products. Rage felt like Rage didn't feel like geek culture.
Rage was a techno expo with geek stuff. But it was up until Black Panther came and showed that everybody got a heart attack at how it affected the world and the amount of money they made in Africa. Then they thought, oh wait, maybe we should pay attention to these guys.
Right.
Then it goes further. Like, look at the most iconic scene in Endgame.
The Bombay. The Bombay.
Before he even says the Bombay, bro, just the look. Not
He
saying a
walks.
word.
The portal opens and he
Not
walks.
saying a word, bro.
Everybody
Just
in
looking.
You are all in the cinema. I refuse to believe nobody just waited for it to come at home, right? We all
Oh, hell no.
in the cinema.
Hell no. We were in the
When,
cinema.
huh?
We're
When
definitely
they
in the
say
cinema.
on your left and then the portal opened, and who walked out first? Who walked out
Challa.
first? And how and what happened in that cinema? People forgot that they're watching a movie.
Dude, we didn't even care to see Sam at that point. And
Like, who cares
no
about Sam?
disrespect to Sam. But we were more interested in seeing.
And then you guys need to understand, everybody that's watching, this 2-hour podcast. Thank you for staying this long if you're here. but
Look, you know what? After what you guys did to me yesterday.
I'm finishing. I promise I'm
The
finishing.
3 hours long thing.
I promise I'm finishing. This will be under 2.5. I promise. So, what people also need to understand is stuff like Kizazimoto, stuff like Super Team 4, stuff like what's another example? Okay, anyway, let's just say Comic-Con Africa, all of that stuff. It doesn't exist without the success of the Black Panther franchise.
Yeah.
So, if the Black Panther franchise is not successful, which is what is happening right now, okay? $500 million, $500 million less than Black Panther 1. That's not a good financial indicator because remember, movie theaters take a cut, distributors take a cut, right? And then you have to
some
double,
actors take a cut as well.
yes, and you have to double the budget for marketing. So on a $250 million budget, which probably cost them $500 million in total. Remember, other movies bombed to market Wakanda Forever. Strange World, they took the budget from that movie to market Wakanda Forever, and it didn't make $1 billion. Like, that was the goal of it. Yeah. It was 859 million is great for other studios. It's not great for Disney.
For the MCU, no, it's not.
It's not.
In fact, how many of the movies they've released this year have reached the B mark?
Funny enough, the movies that have reached the B mark is Barbie, Mario, and Oppenheimer.
I guess so, yeah. And I'm saying they're doing this on $200 million budgets. You have to make $1 billion in order for this thing to be profitable.
Which is kind of similar to the same budget that they did for Secret Invasion.
I don't understand why. But like anyway, the point is that without T'Challa, this franchise is in danger. If you give another character T'Challa Jr., because remember, T'Challa Jr., if they age him up, it's going to be the dumbest, most convoluted thing possible, where it's like, one, that doesn't make sense anyway. Why? Because you're basically skipping an entire character arc.
Yeah, it's an entire character arc, one, and then the second thing, how are you going to reconcile culture versus nurture? Because he's living in Haiti right now.
Right. Also, how would he be so smart to rule a whole nation that he doesn't have any connection with and still be able to have peace talks with superheroes that has never been in battle?
Basically the Lost Prince all over again.
Lost Prince and trope. Here's number 4. Here's the big one. If they can travel forward in time, why can't they travel backwards in time and get to T'Challa before he was sick and save him from this mysterious illness?
Look, no offense to the Russo brothers, but the biggest cop-out with time travel is that it opens a whole myriad of what-ifs.
Yeah.
I mean, you pointed it out the other day. It's like, why did you have to wait for why couldn't they have gone back to the point where he said you should have gone for the face and stepped his finger? That same argument also applies. Like, okay, when things go bad enough, what's to stop from people going back in time and saying, Tony, listen, if you at this moment you're gonna have to snap your fingers, or you go back and like you mentioned, T'Challa, guy, you're gonna go sick.
No, and then also the MCU has resurrected like thingy, Love and Thunder. Gore's daughter dies in the beginning. What do they do at the end? They go to a big giant wishing man and they just say, "Bring the daughter back," and then he does.
In the
Like,
end
why
of
are
the
we acting like
literal end of the
characters can't
universe.
come back from the dead? That's the other thing that I'm not understanding. But I'm saying he is vital to this franchise. You do not have a franchise without T'Challa. And giving his stories to another character, which is blasphemous in any other like context, because you never do that with Gohan, you never do that with Deku, you never kill another character and give him other people's stories. That doesn't work. It's bad. That
Look
would
at
be like making Miles Morales fight Norman Osborn. It's not going to work. And I'm saying fight Norman Osborn like he was Norman Osborn's first Spider-Man.
yeah.
Fight Harry Osborn, making Miles Morales fight Harry Osborn.
Mm.
Like when he has no connection to Harry Osborn whatsoever. That's all I'm saying. That's all Recast T'Challa is saying. This character is too vital. He has too much of an impact. He can make too much money, which is something Disney should want. Everything supports Recast T'Challa. All of the metrics, all of the ethics, and all of the cultural impact support Recast T'Challa. The only reason we are not doing this is because there's a certain sect of fans and there's a certain sect at Marvel that doesn't want to do the separation that they're supposed to
I,
do.
I don't
They were
I don't
scared. I think
think
they were
it's
scared. They were scared that people are not going to go out.
no. If there's one thing you've got to appreciate about the Disney is that they can always they always screw over the fans in the long run. So it's not necessarily the fans, is that the Disney's MO is to always ride on nostalgia, and nothing is more nostalgic
And
than
film service.
nothing is more nostalgic than remember the memory of so and so.
And I'm saying it's not working. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
it's not.
saying.
Yeah,
It's not working.
your argument is valid. It's not working. You've given this a whole lot of thought, and all the points you're making are perfect 10 out of 10s. I don't think anyone rationally can argue. Oh goodness, did I say rationally?
Anyway,
Or should I
I
say,
think that's
if you take your emotion out of it, because yes, we do love Chadwick and all that, and if you take your emotion out of it and look at it laterally, we can see the merit of what you're trying to communicate. And I think the downside is, just because there may or may not be an overwhelming opposition to what you're saying, doesn't make it any less valid.
And just to touch on the emotional aspect, the
Yeah.
guy you're talking about was talking about giving other black actors opportunities. The guy you're
Yeah.
talking about was the guy that
If
went to
it
South Africa and made sure that Chadwick had to fight for African accents. Did you guys know this?
Yeah.
No, I didn't
Like
know this.
they were gonna have British accents or American accents in that
Imagine.
movie.
Imagine the audacity.
And Chadwick said, if these Wakandans don't have African accents, I will walk away from this project.
Mm.
So, Chad's amazing, but he dedicated himself to this project. He dedicated himself to this franchise. Why would you want to kneecap that? Why would you want to kneecap that?
If you value Chadwick's memory, you'd also value his opinions.
And you'd recast.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's not like the new actor's gonna come with the Men in Black deneuralizer, and when he's on screen, he's gonna press it, and then he's gonna be like,
And
there was
also-
no Chadwick Boseman ever.
Also, I think, especially in the first movie that the new actor was going to appear in, he was not going to try too hard because he knew he was going to know that we also, as the viewers, know that he has big shoes to fill.
Guys, you're going way too far. There's a very simple way around this whole thing. I mean, they've proven that multiple dimensions. We've got a multiverse of madness. Are you telling me that no one can go and get a T'Challa from a different universe who looks different, who is a black actor with his own origins and own caveats, and bring him to this one? Are you telling me that's not possible?
That's plan B. Like, I want a direct recast personally, because we tried to do that in the beginning. You need to understand, everything that you've ever said, we tried to do it in the beginning. We tried to say, okay, fine, Fine. If you're gonna kill this one, can we at least do a multiverse? You hate women, you hate black women, you hate our success, you are racist, you hate the cast and crew, yada 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 yada. And it's just like, okay, if we can, because the other thing is,
no. If they're gonna accuse us of hating women or being racist on everything like that, how come we know we have spent time trying to know more about the original Shuri than you guys? How come we've taken time to understand and value the character of Shuri more than you guys,
And Storm.
or value the character of Storm? Because Storm is one of my favorite mutants. I think I've said that before. Like, of the mutant side,
Right.
after Charles, it's Storm, and
Right.
then but my overall favorite mutant, obviously, is Magneto. But how come we've taken female characters are powerful not because they're trying to replace men, it's because they are powerful as they are. Your
Look at
gender,
Rome. Hello.
your gender does not define you as an individual. And I wanted, okay, let me not go too far into this thing, because it also brings me to the topics about the non-binary and why is such a big issue here, and why is it such a big issue here and everything. I'll start
I
ranting.
think we
But
should do an episode of female superhero films because
yeah,
Marvel seems to be struggling with that.
we need a Storm movie. Why didn't you, if you're going to go this angle of Shuri becoming the Black Panther, we needed a Shuri movie. I wanted a Shuri, not Wakanda Forever, but we wanted a movie about Shuri and her origins and her perspectives and her journey. And it had to be about Shuri as a person and an individual so that we can relate to her.
And
Same about,
also, you see how they played this thing of us not really knowing who's gonna don the Black Panther.
yeah.
Why didn't they just make Shuri the one that's gonna don the Black Panther from the get-go? They knew that people might not go to the cinema for that.
It's exactly. It's
she's just like, I'm sorry, the character is just not that big of a draw. Even in the comic books, she got 16 issues. T'Challa's got 200 plus, and Shuri's got 16 issues as Black Panther. He's just the character, okay? And just to wrap this up,
yeah.
and this would be my last thought. Yeah, this would be my last thought on this whole thing. All I'm saying is that Bob Iger, people have said he's a monster. People have said that he's a person, that he's part of the reason why they're having a strike in the first place, right? If Bob Iger is who people say he is, I'm not making a judgment, I don't know the guy, but if he is who they say he is, why wouldn't he take advantage of an actor passing? Why? And if that experiment failed, and in terms of them losing 123 billion last year in 2023, in terms of them not having a successful phase 4, how do you know they won't look at Black Panther as a fluke? Black Panther 1 specifically. How do you know they won't look at Wakanda Forever as a failed experiment, right? There's a real possibility, and it's happening because there's no announcements for Black Panther 3. There's no announcements for a Disney Plus show outside of maybe the Okoye thing, which I don't know how it's going to do. And he's not even there in What If. There's no Black Panther Wakanda What If anything coming out in season 2. All right? So already this character is dying across mediums for some reason. Is he just going to be sick in every universe? And I'm saying that there's a real possibility here. If we do not get T'Challa back into this franchise, there's a real possibility that they can dead this franchise. And that's everything. That's M'Baku, that's Shuri, that's Ramonda, that's gone. It can happen. Nah, that's all I wanted to say. Okay. I've kept you guys here long enough.
It's a on that dark note, yes, we need to, it falls on us. I'm gonna quote a line I learned from this movie about the Red Cliffs, is that Confucius says lend yourself to courage. That if you stand up for what's right, well, it's not lend yourself to courage. I forgot the actual quote. Let me not start quoting them. But the gist of the matter is that fate Fate acts whether fate if T'Challa falls into obscurity, that is fate. But us keeping quiet is complicit to an act complicit to an act that might bring forth this downfall. And if we believe in it strong enough, we need to say something. Or rather, we say something and fate acts against us
Right.
rather than just sit there and be quiet and not do anything for the fear that our opinions won't matter anyway. Let's make the noise and let fate take care of the rest. That's all I'm saying.
Look what happened to Justice League.
Look at Zack Snyder. Look what happened to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right.
It can happen if there's enough of a voice to say we need this to keep burning. It can happen. They do eventually listen. Everybody's greedy enough to listen. If it hurts
So
their pockets enough, they will concede.
you don't think it's too late?
No, not in the slightest.
No, no.
No. I can turn that whole phase 5 and 6 around with 3 movies. You
Okay.
give me 3 movies, I can turn that whole ship around. Easy.
What are those movies?
Okay, so it's Black Panther 3, Mephisto, it's Fantastic Four, and then it's the first X-Men. And then you introduce what's this? You retcon T'Challa's history and you put Storm in there.
Yeah.
Done.
Like that's the other thing I want to say about that parallel universe stuff. That like, why don't we have a universe where T'Challa and Storm end up together? My gripe is with female characters, with black female characters in the MCU, is that they're not done well.
Outside of Ramonda until they killed her in the movie in one of the most dumbest ways, in my opinion. Anyway.
Death by drowning.
When she's queen and you have bodyguards, send one of the bodyguards to go save the foreigner.
They were just trying to have Angela Bassett get an award. That's all.
Have I not given everything?
Have I not given everything?
Anyway, gents, that's my spiel. Thank you so much for indulging me on this. I've kept you guys for a very long time, but we're just trying to push this needle forward wherever way we can, because this character is too big. And on that note, please make sure to go read Black Panther versus Kang on Webtoons. It's free, and issue 2 is dropping soon. Just working on the line work and some of the colors and all of that stuff, and it's been really fun to write it.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to highlight before we close that how you can help push this agenda is to the best as you can consume the Black Panther material wherever you can. That's the best way you can get the message across, that when the people say we would much rather consume this Black Panther material compared to this message doing, it will communicate to them in the long run. So you can take up the hashtag on the Twitters and the Instagrams and the TikToks. You can go consume the material. You can go follow the cast that wanted to have this thing rehashed. You can go highlight the source material. The power is absolutely in your hands. That's all I'm trying to communicate. You can do this, and we should do this, and we are counting on each other to make this thing happen, because
but read my fan comment too. I need it to go viral.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Consume all of it. Then you're included in that.
Okay.
Consume Black Panther material so that people can see that it's still something that's important to us in this continent. You know what I'm talking about, and that's what I wanted to communicate. That's how we can make a difference. Make a noise, consume the material. All right.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and being so patient with us. There's just one thing that I want to say. Buck, thank you so much for actually
educating us.
For educating us. I'm sure we could have gone on for 10 hours. But
actually, I can.
Thank you for. I've learned a lot. There was a point where I felt like, am I really a comic book fan? Because I thought you know a lot, and then you realize that.
I know a lot about Black Panther. Other characters, I'm like. Eh.
No. The biggest blessing of a proper comic book nerd is that when you sit down and listen to each other, there's nobody who's gatekeeping.
Yes.
The sign of the
Yes.
best comic book
Yes.
nerds are the guys who open the gates, not gatekeep.
Yes.
I want to
Yes.
share T'Challa with everybody, but just
Yeah,
don't kill him, please. Anyway.
Jehovah's Witness this thing. Let's go door to door if we have to.
And the
Have
other
you
thing
heard the
is,
good
yeah,
word of Wakanda?
Of T'Challa.
the other thing that I wanted to mention is this is what this podcast is about. The Africa Being Nest is just three guys who just want their voices to be heard about their opinions about comic interesting. And I'm sure some people can relate. I'm sure there's some people that are going to watch this and feel like, finally, someone is saying it. This is
Yeah.
exactly what we wanted to say.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of this whole thing. If you guys have suggestions, if you guys think that we should talk about something specific, I mean, we have mentioned that we want to talk about the 6 episode Marvel Knights Black Panther that came out, the BET thing with Juman Russo and what's that lady, Kerry Washington. We are going to be touching about it, but there's so much lore, Marvel lore that we still need to cover. There's so many characters that we still need to cover. There's so many things that we still need to cover. I'm sure you guys have learned a few things that we're saying as we were passing by. We spoke about Hank, Hank Pym. We spoke about the original Jarvis and all of that. But yeah, that's a story for another day. But with that said, this is Africa is Next podcast. Thank you so much for listening, for checking out. We're probably gonna, what's this, slice and dice some of these segments so that you guys can consume them in smaller portions. But if you want the full one, this is the full one. But thanks for checking it out. We'll see you on the next one. So from myself, Ms. Extraordin, BuckMeister Cool, and Devan Lokhala, peace. Alrighty.
That was fun.